starts with you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Free Speech Friday. Glad you're here. We know you got many choices to make every single day, and we're super grateful that you choose to spend some time with us, so thank you. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Join our team. Gifting goal today. Please help us out there. We are still marching towards our Do Something Tour target, which is $25K. We're at $7,796. Thank you all so very, very much. If you want to support our endeavors and what we're doing, you can do so at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Please head on over to the link tree that's in my bio. You also find some information regarding the Do Something Tour there, including a link to the Do Something Tour Instagram page. Please consider joining our Discord. It's kind of the hub for a lot of our stuff, right? You can join that for free. We just ask that you go through the verification steps. Also, check out the new items in the merch store, including ABCDEF Fuck Ice. All that's all available at Facts HQ or at factsstillmatter.site. Welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here. It is Free Speech Friday. Just picking up from our conversation from yesterday. Sorry I had to end early, but things get heavy and they affect me too. So if they affect me, I'm sure they're going to affect members of our community. So that's why I kind of checked my own self. But we're back. We're ready to chat. It is It is What's on Your Mind, Free Speech Friday. So I'd love to hear from you. Topics. The only thing we ask is as you know, we have a general rule around here about breaking news. We would rather be last and correct than first and wrong. So if there's something you want to share, we just ask that you share it potentially either with a moderator, so give us a chance to vet it, or you could ask us questions about something. We don't want to make any definitive claims unless we have our chance. We have a chance ourselves to research it. So there you go. Thanks for being here. I figured we'd start today with another one of our in the series of recognizing some amazing women from history, as it is Women's History Month. Today it's Maya Angelou. A multi-talented writer and performer, Maya Angelou is best known for her work as an author and as a poet. Her 1969 memoir, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, made literary history as the first nonfiction bestseller by a Black woman. Some of her famous poems include Phenomenal Woman, Still I Rise, and On the Pulse of Morning, which she recited at President Clinton's inauguration in 1993 and earned her a Grammy. Angelou also enjoyed a career as a Tony and Emmy-nominated actor and singer in plays, in musicals, and on screen. Thank you. She became the first Black woman to have a screenplay produced with the 1972 movie Georgia, Georgia. In her work as a civil rights activist, she collaborated with Martin Luther King Jr. and with Malcolm X, among others. Angelou died May of 2014 at the age of 86. Maya Angelou, as we celebrate women of history. Again, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you all. It is the 91st day of the federal government breaking the law by violating the Epstein Files Transparency Act and protecting a group of predators. Shocker that that's still happening. All right, we're going to do a lot of recapping today. There's some things that I wanted to get to yesterday that we didn't get to yesterday. There's some things that we still need to talk about in regards to the war of the Gulf because things are bad. But I just want to remind everybody that as of this morning, hang on one second, gas prices sit at $3.91 nationally. That's crazy. Up 3 cents from yesterday. It was $3.63 a week ago, $2.93 a month ago, and $3.12 a year ago. So that's up 80 cents. Diesel was $3.60 a year ago. Today it sits at $5.16 nationally. So up $1.50. Diesel. So it's. I want to actually play some sound on that because there's some pushback, right? So the blue collar community is really feeling the heat. So you're going to hear a little story reported by some fishermen down in Southeast Florida. How they're not exactly, they didn't get what they paid for, so to speak.
Pleaded to the people, make America great again. We're tearing America apart right now.
Fishermen here in Cortez, Florida are pissed off with the president who many of them voted for, and they're angry because of skyrocketing diesel prices.
I'm really scratching my head because I voted Republican and most of us in the fishing industry did, and we're not seeing the positives come out of it.
Now, before the war in Iran, gas coming from this pump in Cortez was going for $3.29 per gallon. Now, gas from this pump is closer to $5 a gallon.
Uh-oh.
And for boats like this one, Linnea, which is about to go out on a 2-week sword fishing trip, it needs 4,600 gallons of diesel. And with prices like...
So 4,600 times $5 a gallon, what's that, like $6? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so again, diesel prices are up $1.50 a gallon nationwide.
That's making business unsustainable. All of that on top of the fact that these fishermen are also having to contend with President Trump's erratic tariff policy.
When the tariffs initially went into effect, there was a huge jump in all of our tackle and supplies. And even though the tariff percentages were rolled back a little bit, our suppliers never rolled back their prices.
Now, the manager of this family-run fishing company here in Cortez, Karen Bell, tells me that the tariffs and the diesel prices mean she's going to have to raise the price of fish, and that cost is ultimately going to be incurred by the customers.
I'm going to try to push prices up. I hope consumers realize that, you know, when we push prices forward or up, it's not really something we want to do.
And one fisherman warned me that this could mean the end for the fishing industry here in Cortez.
Oh, this could be the final straw for a lot of people. For a lot of people in this industry, man. I mean, we're already taxed to death. Everything, the cost of everything, tackle, the cost of operation, and then the fuel going up. It could be the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. I mean, and it's sad.
And these fishermen have a clear message to President Trump about who's suffering from this war back home.
The working class people like us that are going to suffer from this. There's no benefit to it for any of us. That the war is pointless. You know,
Well, sir, so this is the ultimate test for the empath, right? Farmers got screwed again, right? But voted so many voted for him the first time, the second time, the third time, didn't learn their lesson. Here we are again, more blue-collar workers across the country, large chunk of the voting bloc, in particular, blue-collar white men. Here we go. We told you this was going to happen. You didn't listen, but her laugh, and here we sit now. So yeah, it sucks. I want you to have health care, but you know what? You created this shit. You said, you know what? I like this guy. I like this guy. I like his rhetoric. I like what he says about brown people. I like the fact that he's a misogynistic womanizer. I like all this fucking shit. No new wars. But wait a minute. What? I didn't think it was going to affect me. Yeah, well, it does. It does. And here we sit. And now you're the one that's going to have to suffer through it because, again, you got what you paid for. Sadly. So yeah, there's that. I don't fucking know anymore. I'm just like so blown away by the obvious. But again, I don't want you guys to worry though. I don't want you to worry. I know that prices are up across the board and all kinds of sectors. It's going to be incredibly expensive as we get through the month of March and into April. Those inflation numbers are going to be through the roof. But I don't want you to worry because the president is looking out for you with the launch of the new commemorative coins. This famous picture of him with his fists on the Resolute desk, of course, with an eagle. I don't want you to worry though. He's really looking out for you because the Trump administration is who's leaned into the monarchical imagery, has drawn scrutiny for what critics have called a neo-imperialist policy towards countries like Venezuela, Iran, and Cuba, will soon be the face of a commemorative 24-karat gold coin. It's one thing to produce it like this. They're going to be producing it in 24-karat gold. I just want to let you know. Okay, I know you're concerned about your healthcare costs going through the roof. I know you're concerned about the price of gas. I know you're concerned about the economy hemorrhaging. I know you're concerned about loss of life in another endless fucking regime change, war bullshit, imperialism, Yahtzees running around the streets of America. I know those things are on your mind, but don't worry because the U.S. Treasury is going to be minting a 24-karat gold coin with the president's face on it. In fact, there's a couple of different versions in honor of the 250th birthday of our country. The U.S. Commission on Fine Arts, whose members were appointed by Trump, by the way, voted unanimously on Thursday to approve the design, which depicts Trump leaning over a desk with clenched fists. The design appears to reproduce a photograph of Trump that was hung in the National Portrait Gallery in D.C. The back of the coin depicts a bald eagle. The coin is meant to commemorate the nation's semi-quincentennial anniversary, for which the Trump administration has also planned a slate of events. Again, Don't worry, though. Looking out for you. As we approach our 250th birthday, we are thrilled to prepare coins that represent the enduring spirit of our country and democracy, and there is no profile more emblematic for the front of such coins than that of our serving president, Donald J. Trump. U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach said in a statement to news outlets on Thursday. The Trump administration is planning to mint at least 2 other smaller coins with Trump's face on their front. One, a $1 coin, which will circulate as currency, according to the New York Times. The other will be a collectible coin made from an ounce of 24-karat gold and marked with a face value of $250. And you know what? I will almost guarantee that some of those fishermen that you just heard from, who are paying now $5 a gallon for diesel, who are concerned about the future of the fishing industry, will probably go buy some. Probably. What is it? What is this? Huff Sulting? You and your 0 followers? Anyway, I'll ignore the comments for now. The coins have faced objections from some who say that depicting a living government official on currency would appear to elevate them like kings. You think? Some things that the nation's founders fiercely opposed. Anyone with an understanding of history knows that the Declaration of Independence was our founders' statement for cutting the ties between the colonies and the king, said Donald Scarsini, member of the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee. He said during the committee's public meeting last month, for 250 years, since that great document was signed with a few controversial exceptions, no nation on earth has issued coins with the image of a democratically elected leader during their time of service. But again, nothing to see here. Not dictatorial at all, not monarch-like at all. Okay. Only those nations ruled by kings or by dictators display the image of their sitting ruler on the coins of the realm. An 11-member federal advisory board established in 2003 is statutorily required to review themes and designs of coins. The U.S. Mint had at the last minute added discussions of the gold coin to their list to their agenda items. But the committee declined to review the coin. A recording of the meeting, which included Scarsini's comments, appeared to have been removed from the CCAC's website and has yet to be restored, despite Scarsini's reported request to the Mint. The CCAC meets again in April. U.S. Treasurer Brandon Beach said in a statement to the Times on Thursday that, quote, multiple reasonable opportunities to review the proposed designs, but expressly declined. Again, Listen, I understand. I know things are tough, but don't worry, because there's going to be taxpayer dollars used to print these coins with a person who's responsible for driving our economy off a cliff and starting us in another regime change war. And then some are going to be cased in gold. Awesome powers, Faja. Oh, that's a good one. If you know, you know. So again, I don't want you to worry. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing to see here. Yeah. It's so fucking embarrassing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The world looking at us like, what the fuck are you guys doing? But anyway, so I thought we would do something a little just fun to kind of start today because, the world must go on and we are in it. So here's this.
These are MAGA's words of wisdom.
So when you combine MAGA and flat earthers, this is what you get.
If the earth is flat, where is the sun? It's 93 million miles away?
Well, the sun at any given time, and when you say the sun, there is no the sun. Everybody has their own sun.
What do you mean?
Literally.
What do you mean literally?
Literally, everybody has their own sun. There's a different sun for everybody.
What do you mean a different sun? I don't understand that. Like,
what?
You mean you're saying that there's a different sun here in Las Vegas than there is in New York?
What?
You're not looking at the same sun there, correct.
So how many suns are there?
As many people who are viewing it.
So every individual person has their own sun?
Correct.
What?
That is correct. The sun's no more than 50 miles away at any given time. And it's
50, wait. But wait a second. But
just a
airplanes
light
go up in the sky.
That's right. and it's like a rainbow.
How come the sun doesn't get bigger when you're in an airplane?
The closer you move to it, the farther it moves from you. It's like a rainbow. And the sun isn't a thing.
This is going to break me, man.
Yeah,
this is going to break me.
The sun is literally not a thing. The
Wait
sun,
a second.
No, it's not like a burning ball of gas or any of that bullshit.
What is it?
Yeah, it's
what is the sun then?
Sky.
What?
Cold.
The sun is cold.
The sun is cold.
These are MAGA's words of wisdom.
Yes, Francis, you're absolutely right, you sexy bitch. No doubt about it. He votes. And somebody said this in the chat. Where's that comment? He's qualified to be the next director of NASA. Literally, like when the worlds collide, when MAGA and flat earthers. First of all, I love flat earthers. I mean, it's almost like a kink for a strange reason. Like I could watch flat earther podcasts and watch their own arguments get destroyed in their face. But when you combine MAGA and you combine flat earthers, sorry, I gotta play this again because it's just so great.
If the Earth is flat, where is the sun? It's 93 million miles away.
The sun at any given time, and when you say the sun, there is no the sun. Everybody has their own sun.
What do you mean?
Literally.
What do you mean literally?
Literally, everybody has their own sun. There's a different sun for everybody.
What do you mean a different sun? I don't understand that. Like, you're saying that there's a different sun here in Las Vegas than there is in New York?
You're not looking at the same sun there, correct.
So how many suns are there?
As many people who are viewing
Well, I have two sons. I'm just saying.
it.
So every individual person has their own
That's
sun?
correct.
Right.
What?
That is correct. The sun's no more than 50 miles away at any given time. And it's
50,
just,
wait. But wait a second. But
just
airplanes
light
go up
sky,
in the sky.
That's right. And it's like a rainbow.
How come the sun doesn't get bigger when you're in an airplane?
The closer you move to it, the farther it moves from you. It's like a rainbow. And the sun isn't a thing.
This is going to break me, man. This is going to break me.
The sun is literally not a thing.
Wait a second.
No, it's not like a burning ball of gas or any of that bullshit.
What is it?
Yeah, it's
what is the sun then?
Sky. It's cold.
Sun is cold.
The sun is cold.
Like a rainbow. So again, it's the best chat in the history of TikTok. Someone just said, so like when you're born, do you get a sun assigned to you? Is there like next? Sun comes down, it's assigned to you. I'm telling you, flat earthers. So if you're a flat earther in the chat, I say this with nothing but affection. I love you all so very, very much because I appreciate how convicted you are in your beliefs. They're fucking nuts, but I completely love you. Thank you, Swishy Raiders, for being here. I appreciate you guys. Okay, a little bit more fun. This time we're going to hear from Jordan Klepper. So there's a lot of infighting within MAGA, especially some of the larger, more popular content creators or influencers. You know, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Sean Ryan. Everybody's kind of like doing their own sort of thing. Well, Mark Levin has been swept up into this. So can you turn your sun up in the winter? That's a good question, Chris. Like if you had your own sun, like, first of all, if I had my own sun, why would you ever have a cloudy day? I got sunshine. Why would you ever have a cloudy day if you had your own sun? I mean, it's a good concept, but anyway, infighting within MAGA. And who knew that Mark Levin would have been called into this?
Side with people like Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, and Megyn Kelly. And there's the pro-war side with Sean Hannity, Lindsey Graham, and Mark Levin. And as you can imagine, the quality of an internal MAGA debate is highly intellectual.
On the X platform, Mark Levin posted, "Poor Megyn Kelly, an emotionally unhinged, lewd, and petulant wreck. She's completely revealed and destroyed herself." In response, Megyn Kelly posted, Micropenis Mark thinks he has the monopoly on lube. He doesn't like it when women like me fight back because of his micropenis.
Oh. Shots fired. Whoo!
Oh. 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 Feels like I'm back at the Oxford Debate Club. Be it resolved that dick be tiny. Now, it's not a good look for President Trump to have his followers fighting so publicly over their micropenises. Donnie, why don't you...
Again, I think that's another qualifier for the cabinet.
Step in and heal the divide.
President Trump defended Mark Levin, posting that he is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love for our country. Mark is tough, strong, and brilliant. In response, Megyn Kelly posted that Mark Levin went running to daddy about his micropenis.
Oh, she ain't playing.
Damn it, Megyn! Damn it! Wow! Now, it's obviously not fair to accuse Mark Levin of running to daddy about his micropenis. Although I imagine having a micropenis makes the running a lot easier. Totally unrelated, but in high school, I was the slowest guy in gym class. By the way, did you notice that at no point did Trump deny the micropenis allegations? Not exactly the full-throated defense you want. He has a micropenis. Hey! He's a nice man. Also, I'm sorry. Are we at war? You're tweeting about your buddy's micropenis. Was FDR taking time out of his fireside chats to be like, anyway, that's how D-Day went. Now, if I may say a few words about whether my friend Zachary has a chode. Please, please. Isn't there anybody who can calm the situation? Marjorie Taylor Greene, you're a respected member of MAGA. Perhaps you can bring some intellectual substance to this debate.
Former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene posted, I wholeheartedly support Megyn Kelly telling the world that Mark Levin has a micropenis.
I wholeheartedly support Megyn Kelly telling the world that Mark Levin has a micropenis.
Marjorie, come on! Oh, come on! With all this talk about micropenises, we're losing sight of the real reason we attacked Iran, which is shit. You know what? Now that I think about it, we never got an answer to that, actually. And believe me, I've been searching for one harder than Mark Levin's urologist, you know? Boom! Oh! Sorry. That's all. Sorry, Mark, I had to get in one last small one. Just like you, boom! Yeah. Sorry. This split is divided.
Okay, so what do we learn, friends? Have you been taking notes? We've learned that MAGA flat earthers believe that we each have our own sun, S-U-N, cool, and that we're apparently assigned one at birth. And the infighting in MAGA currently is over whether or not Mark Levin has a micropenis. Now listen. We've been told, we've been told that size doesn't matter. But a micropenis? I think that could be potentially problematic. You better have a really good personality. You better be very charming, kind, but you still got a micro. Sorry. That only applies to, you know what? Like I've said this before a million times. Dudes who talk about their micropenis have a tiny micropenis. All right, moving on. Everybody now happy? Everybody loosened up? You have a big bank account. That may not even be enough. And that doesn't even matter anyways, because that's not what women desire. Women desire emotional intelligence, kindness, generosity, good listeners, a sense of humor, that kind of shit. And anyways, I'll leave that right there. Okay. Thank you for being here again, friends. We appreciate you very, very much. All right. A few things I wanted to kind of to get into this morning as we continue to discuss the rising cost of things. I want to remind folks that don't you worry, because the president's got a plan to roll out a gold-plated, 24-karat gold-plated commemorative coin, which is great. Meanwhile, there's reporting from Straight Arrow News about 14% of families spend more on daycare than on housing. What's the fix? Brittany Dunbar and her husband pay around $3,100 a month for childcare in suburban Baltimore, roughly $300 more than the mortgage on their $550,000 home. Before having a child, Dunbar expected to pay around $2,000 per month for childcare, but when it came to time to enroll her daughter, most centers in that range either had long wait lists or environments she wasn't comfortable with, such as dirty, disorganized spaces or staff distracted on their phones. Today, Dunbar describes the national branded daycare her daughter attends as, quote, pretty standard. Dunbar and her husband are relatively high earners, yet the mortgage and childcare together consume about half of their monthly income. We're not really going on vacation except to visit family and friends for the holidays, she told Straight Arrow News. And I'm not paying on my federal student loans, and those loans are in deferment and accruing interest, she said. Dunbar's situation is far from unique across the U.S. Millions of families are navigating childcare costs that are financially and logistically unsustainable. A survey of more than 2,000 moms by Baby Center found that 14% of families spend more on childcare than on housing. Similarly, a survey of 3,000 parents from Care.com estimates that on average, families spend 27% of their household income on childcare, with half saying it's around $18,000 per year. A 2026 Lending Tree study found that a 2026 Lending Tree study found that a two-child household would need to earn over $400,000 annually to meet the federal guideline that childcare should not exceed 7% of household income. Think about that for a second. First of all, we already know that there's a childcare shortage. When I was in corporate America, I mentioned this before, we had a difficult time recruiting to Vermont because we have a housing crisis up here and a lack of quality daycare. Very problematic. It's not unique here. It's across the country. The same problems. But again, the Pentagon just asked for $200 billion more for a fucking war that we don't even know why we're there. We don't have health care. Child care costs are crippling families. Diesel costs, the price of gas, everything else is climbing. But again, friends, don't worry. The 900 billionaires in America whose cumulative wealth crosses $8 trillion have made themselves $1.5 trillion richer since Trump took office. So I don't want you to worry, because the billionaires, they're going to be okay. Don't worry. I know you're not going to be able to pay your bills and your energy costs. I got my electric bill this month, and it was like 4 times more than what it normally is, which is, again, no big deal, because the billionaires are we have to worry about them. Again, the number is $400,000 annually is what a family would need to earn to meet the federal guideline that childcare should not exceed 7% of household income. As childcare costs climb, economists and other experts say the financial pressure will continue to reshape family formations, workforce participation, and economic growth nationwide. Like nearly half of the moms surveyed by the Baby Center, Dunbar said rising costs have made her reconsider having more children. Dunbar, who is 36, is already considered to be in the advanced maternal age, so she said, I don't have that luxury of time to wait. I feel like we are forced into choosing between growing our family and our careers. It's definitely impacted every aspect of our life, like our budget. Over the past few years, the U.S. labor force has seen a sharp decline in employment among women ages 25 to 44 whose youngest child is under 5 years old. Matthew Nessler, a senior economist at KPMG, told Straight Arrow News that these women, quote, are leaving the workforce to care for their children, which you should be absolutely praised for. Let's make sure that we're level setting right there. Reshma Saujani, founder of Moms First and a 2026 Time Woman of the Year, told SAN that these moms, quote, didn't leave because they stopped wanting careers. They left because childcare costs outpaced their salaries. When you push that many women out of the workforce, it stops being a family budgeting problem and becomes a national economic crisis. Abso-fucking-lutely. And that crisis has implications for the entire U.S. economy. In 2024, Nestler said industries lost 509 million work hours, with an estimated $8.9 to $17.8 billion in lost wages. Losing labor hours creates staff shortages, missed output, and coworker burnout. Over time, these dynamics erode productivity and margins and depress consumption and tax revenues, acting as a drag on growth. Declining birth rates also shrink a country's future tax base, increasing reliance on informal labor markets. And Stephanie Fornaro, the founder and CEO of the concierge nanny agency Hello Nanny. As of 2024, the U.S. fertility rate was at a historic low of 1.6 children per woman. Why, they say, is childcare so expensive? Over half of American families live in areas with limited or no access to licensed caregivers, and about 40% are subject to wait lists of 6 months or more, according to the Center for American Progress. We've seen so many studies like this, and I'll continue this because there's a lot of really good information in here, that oftentimes people are taking jobs to make sure that they have health insurance. This is how related. Thank you, Dolphin. Appreciate you very much. So think about this model, right? There was quite a few factors as to why I left corporate America. This was one of them. People were being forced to take jobs to get health insurance. The money that they earned was enough to cover the cost of putting their kid in childcare or daycare so they could work to get health care. Somebody figure that out. Somebody explain to me how that's productive. I mean, think about that model. You go to work, right? You go to work so you can get health insurance. And for those people who claim to be capitalists, wouldn't you want that person to be productive, to be able to use the money that they earn to contribute to the economy? Again, another economic argument for patriot health care, Medicare for all, whatever you want to call it, okay? So again, that scenario, people will go, I witnessed this firsthand. We had these conversations with some of our hourly wage employees. They took their job so they could get benefits, health insurance benefits for their family, okay? They went to work. They put their kid in daycare, childcare, whatever it might be, so they could go to work to get health insurance. The amount of money that they earned monthly was enough to cover their daycare costs. That's a fucked up shit, man. And $200 billion to go for another war, and the president is suing the United States Treasury for $10 billion, suing the Department of Justice for $250 million. People making money on the backs of this war, including Don Jr.'s investments into a drone company of which the United States Defense Department is now using. Are you angry yet? You should be. This is what we talk about when wanting to change the entire fucking system. And where's Congress? Where's fucking Congress? Not a damn thing. Where is legislation from the conservatives to try to address this? Why are they not talking about investments in childcare? Again, this goes to the trickle-up economic model. If you prioritize children and families, then everything else, once you take care of all of that, then money will trickle up. Come on. Over half of American families live in areas with limited or no access to licensed caregivers. Half. And about 40% are subject to wait lists of 6 months or more, according to the Center for American Progress. Some of this shortage can be attributed to low pay. Early childhood educators earn less than 98% of the U.S. workforce. Some is due to other economic factors. It's expensive to run a center, said Evelyn Knight, a multi-site childcare operator with over 2 decades of experience. State rules regulating strict teacher-to-child ratios require providers to maintain a large staff even when enrollment fluctuates. Quote, quality requires staffing ratios, trained educators, compliance, and physical infrastructure, she said. There are limited efficiency gains available. Providers must also cover benefits, facility costs, and licensing fees, often on extremely narrow margins. Again, this is one of those industries that doesn't get the credit and respect that it deserves. Now, sadly, because a lot of these in-home daycare centers or childcare centers have to employ people part-time. They're not going to be able to offer them benefits. So you may not have the most highly qualified individuals because you can't pay them enough. Oftentimes it's a supplemental job. Students home from college, summer breaks, volunteering or getting paid a small stipend. This again, democratic socialism model where you provide resources to child care providers, caregivers. Caregivers are considered a job, a benefit job. Once again, economic argument for universal health care, because you wouldn't have to worry about providing benefits to your employees because government would be paying for it. You can, in theory, pay your employees more. You might be able to recruit more highly qualified employees. There's so many there's so many things that are broken with this system. It's just mind-boggling. But experts note the child care crisis is not wholly unsolvable. In Poughkeepsie, New York, for example, the local nonprofit Day One Learning Center launched a program that provides would-be educators with an 11-week hands-on apprenticeship followed by direct entry into jobs. Since the program began in 2021, more than 100 educators have completed the apprenticeship, expanding the region's childcare capacity. Private companies have also taken up the mantle. Childcare platforms like Upwards, which works with employers, including Choban and the Baltimore Police Department, help businesses offer benefits such as backup childcare and childcare stipends. Upwards also provides weekend childcare options for Army Reserve and National Guard families during drill training. Employee-sponsored childcare benefits can reach families right now before broader policy solutions are passed, funded, and implemented. According to Upwards data, 34% of parents report they would have to cut their working hours without access to care. 90% of parents say they were able to retain or regain employment because of it. Providing childcare benefits has proven to be a company benefit too. Moms First and the Boston Consulting Group released a 2024 report showing that childcare benefits can yield returns on investment of between 90 and 425% for companies depending on their position. Employers both have an economic incentive and a real opportunity to act now, and the infrastructure being built through employer benefits actually strengthens the case for public investment. Find me an argument against. You can't. Once again, prioritize that need to be prioritized.
Back to the old a happy employee, a happy, healthy employee is a productive employee.
Yes, indeed.
It
Yes,
goes
indeed.
right back to that. If they actually calculated
Always does.
all of these recommendations of what percentage of your income goes to what, minimum wage would be like $25 an hour.
Correct. And we can afford it.
Yeah. But do they pay it? Nope.
Of course not. Nope. Of course not. Taking advantage of us as cattle, right? As labor, and that's it. So yeah, I hear you. Anything else on your mind?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Thank you, friend. Appreciate you being here.
You
Have a
too.
good
Thanks.
day. Be safe. You got to be safe out there. It's just ridiculous. It's the same conundrum. Again, another reason I left corporate America was because of this return to work model. So a lot of companies, one of the bigger costs when you get past SG&A, salaries and general accounting, would be real estate. And as we transitioned coming back from, working from home from C-19, my pillar that I had responsibility over, I think I had 197 people in my pillar. And one of the things that I always focused on was the effectiveness and productivity and efficiencies. And we increased efficiencies. We became more profitable when we were working from home. There were fewer days missed because people didn't have to worry about a snow day. They could literally just work from home if the weather took us out or whatever that might be, or a sick kid. You'd have to worry about calling out. All these kinds of things. This turned this productivity model. We increased our productivity in my channel alone like 35%. Something along those lines. Across the board, the company was making more profits. The company was more efficient. But because this culture of innovation only happens when you're together in the workplace is fucking bullshit. Yeah, car problems, traffic, whatever, all kinds of reasons. People were appreciated. They were appreciated. They felt like they had some flexibility. If they were not feeling well, they didn't, instead of having to get dressed and get in the car and drive to work, they could just work from home. getting through the day made it a lot easier. We gained resources. And I remember this meeting very, very well, sitting around with the other C-suite executives, and we were told that the mandate to return to work was happening within the next 6 months, and I was literally alone on the island. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why are we doing this? This makes absolutely no sense. There is no economic advantage to doing this. Is it just perception? And of course, people didn't want to stand up to the CEO. Well, I did, and within 2 weeks, I gave my notice. It's just ridiculous that we put people in these positions. There's no benefit. It just becomes this status thing. Like, you want to bring clients in? That's what I was told. We'd bring clients in. Well, we didn't bring clients in. We brought clients in like twice a year for meetings. That was it. Clients weren't showing up at our facility. It's fucking ridiculous. This is the same sort of shit that we go through now. There is no childcare available in our country. And then childcare workers get criticized. For what? For what? Being overstressed? Ratios of like 19-20 to 1 or worse? But don't worry. 24 karat gold coin coming out before you know it. Don't worry. You have to fix the entire thing. Got to flip the entire system on its head. Shelly, are you there? Guess not. Yeah, you're right. Same with assisted living workers. You're right. Redbird, good morning. How are you today?
Hi, Steve. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind for Free Speech Friday?
Well, yeah, I'm just tying in all this child care stuff to family caregiving. That's exactly where I'm at right now. I'm caring for my husband at home, and there are 63 million Americans now that are caring for elderly and disabled at home, and most of them do not have any benefits to go along with that for their safety net. So this all ties together. It's all tied together.
It is. It is. And what are we asking for? Affordable housing, affordable childcare, better education system.
Yes,
what
Social Security
are we
credits.
asking for?
Just like me, I'm out. I haven't worked. I haven't worked for 3.5 years now because my job was you either worked full time or you didn't. I was caring for my husband full time after his stroke. I was working full time. My mother died in the middle of all this. I couldn't do it all. I was by myself. I don't have any family. Something had to go. So my job had to go. So now I'm being punished because I chose out of love to care for my husband at home. And
You
yet
chose the
I
right thing to
have
do.
nothing. There's no
You
security.
chose the right thing. You're right. You chose the right thing to do. You chose the thing that most of us would do, right?
Well, and it's at a cost. And so this is why I started my page up. This all ties together, the child care and anybody that's taking care of any elderly or disabled at home. This is a problem. It is broken. The whole system is broken.
It is.
We're providing
It is.
$600 billion annually in this country in free family caregiving.
I know. Thanks for jumping in today, Redbird. I appreciate
Thanks.
that.
Have a good
Your
day.
story, you do the same. I appreciate you very much. I mean, just think about that. I'm sure we're going to hear other examples this morning, but just think about that model. I mean, again, you need to earn $400,000 annually in the U.S., right? Based on average childcare costs right now as a household. You have to earn $400,000. So to not exceed what they suggest as a target, that's 7% of your household income goes towards childcare costs. That's fucking crazy. But yet here we are. We find ourselves in the same spot, fighting for fucking table scraps again. So what we do, fighting for table scraps. Hello, Victoria. How are you today?
Hi. So I work for the state of New Jersey, and we were forced into telework when the pandemic hit. And like to the point where like they were like, oh, we're shutting down the offices at 8 o'clock at night. We got an email telling us they were shutting down the offices. And if you didn't have a laptop, you had to go in and get one and then leave. So we were telework for a couple years, and then they brought us back. And the reason they cited for having to bring us back to the office on a hybrid schedule was because the businesses that surround our state offices benefit from our presence. Because we go out and we get coffee, we go to restaurants with things like that. We go out to lunch. So because the infrastructure needed us, we have to be in the office 3 days a week.
Yeah, exactly. And did you pick up efficiencies? Was it better for the employees? Right.
I mean, for
I'm sure
us, it was For my unit, it was. There's absolutely no reason for my unit to be in the office at all. Everything that we do is done. We do it through like email, like our fax is even fax to email. Like there's no reason for my staff to be in the office. There are other units, I guess you could argue they have to be. Like if they're doing face-to-face interviews with people who are, taking care of clients, because I work for the Division of Developmental Disabilities, like a little bit. Supposedly the general public said that they can't get in touch with us. We all have voice over IP and through Teams. So what do you mean you can't get in touch with us? Like we answer the phone. Like
exactly.
I answer the phone.
Excuses.
I don't know. Yeah.
They're just excuses. Well, thank you for sharing that story with us, because it's another example of what we're talking about, how we need to change the system. I appreciate your work and I appreciate you coming in today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Be safe. Be safe out there. Just going to take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back.
Facts still matter, so stand up, lean in. You don't need a cape just to help someone win. Do something simple, do something true. Make a sandwich for a friend, hold the door for someone too. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Check on your neighbor, share what you can do. One small action turns into a wave. Do something today, be the change that you crave. Facts still matter, it starts with you.
I'm getting a
Facts still matter, it starts with you.
I'm getting a new outlet installed. Like I have an outlet that's outside my house that I'm getting installed. I've been trying to get it done for years. I don't do electricity very well, not my thing, and I just wanted to make sure that I left the door open so the gentleman can come in and do what he's got to do. But anyway, yeah, the model is completely fucking broken, and we have to fix it. So that's my push for for the democratic socialism model that would prioritize a hybrid of the democratic socialism model and the matriarchy, that we could hopefully get solve some problems here. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Morning, Steve. I just wanted to bring up, I posted the list that Congressman Ted Lieu posted about the top 10 states with the lowest passport ownership on my profile. I couldn't believe it. I got over 500 comments. And you know what most of the comments said? What does this have to do with anything? What's your point? We don't need to leave the USA. They don't read bills. They do. I don't understand it. They don't know what's in these things. And if you are in a red state, please call your Republican senator and tell them to vote no on the SAVE Act. It's really important. It's going to disenfranchise millions of people.
Yeah, it is. I saw that, and I saw that it's been spinning around. I did some research on that as well. But you're right. I mean, of course, 9 out of the 10 states that have the lowest passport ownership are Republican states. So shocker. But thanks for that comment, Mark. I appreciate you very much, sir. Thank you very much for being here today.
Have a good day.
You too. See ya. What we're talking about here is, again, this proof of citizenship model connected to the SAVE Act, right? So I didn't realize that Mark posted it, but I saw Ted Lieu talking about this, so I was curious myself. So highest passport ownership by states between 2024 and 2025. This is the highest ownership by state. Tell me what they have in common. New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, California, Connecticut, Hawaii, Maryland, Colorado, New Hampshire. Alaska is the only outlier that voted for Trump in 2024. They're all blue states. Conversely, the states that have the lowest passport ownership percentage is Mississippi, West Virginia, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Kentucky. So if you need to provide your source of your proof of citizenship, the impact is going to fall squarely on red states, just like healthcare. 58% of enrollees on the ACA are represented by Republicans in Congress. 70% of all enrollees in the ACA are in states that Trump won in 2024. So you tell me who this impacts. The disenfranchising of the American voter falls squarely on the back of Republicans. And there's more information on this because I want to tell you about this story. So John Thune, the Senate is on this like 2-week, floor speech push. And their strategy is to say, Thune says the Republicans will use SAVE Act in midterms if Democrats don't get on board. Let them. Let them, because nobody really fucking cares. The overwhelming majority of Americans don't really give a fuck. Sure, we'd be fine with saying, yeah, okay, got to be a citizen, but guess what? You already are. You already are a citizen. I mean, you already have to be a citizen to vote. We talked about the Cato Institute. We talked about the research connected to this. We know the data. We understand that this is a non-fucking issue. It's because the president has been lying to his fucking base for 10 years about election integrity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now John Thune says Republicans will attack Democrats in the fall for failing to enact the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility or SAVE Act if they don't get on board. Get on board for what? For something that's a non-fucking issue? Tell you what, John, why don't you get on board with solving the healthcare crisis? Why don't you get on board with addressing affordable housing? Why don't you get on board with funding our education system as opposed to sending $200 billion to a war that we should not have started to begin with? Why don't you get on board with access to mental health? Why don't you get on board with funding Medicaid and Medicare? Why don't you get on board making sure that rural hospitals don't close? Why don't you get on board preserving rights of the middle class, women in marginalized communities? Why don't you get on board? You won't, because you're a fuck. I should add John Thune to the list. I mean, come on, miss me with your bullshit. I think it's a fairly simple position and one Democrats ought to eventually get on board with. But if we don't, obviously, it's an issue we will be able to use, I think, in the fall elections. Thune told Brett Baer. Thune dismissed Baer's question whether the Senate debate on the SAVE Act, which also would require voters to present IDs when casting ballots, is more about political messaging than actually getting result. It's legislating, I mean. Actually, if you look at the substance of the policy, this is about safe and secure elections in this country and making sure we have an election process that is actually the right people, not just the illegals who are in this country, have an opportunity to vote. We already have the data. Cato Institute, Heritage Foundation, all have the same information. It's a minuscule percentage. And we know this because Kash Patel was questioned about this topic when he was part of this crazy fucking hearing that happened, was it 2 days ago? Yesterday. He's being questioned by, hang on a second so I can find it. And then I've got to play some crazy sound from Joe Kent, this Joe Kent interview that he did with Tucker Carlson, which was wild to say the least. Let me see, make sure I have this. Hang on. Everybody keep tapping, please. If you want to support the Do Something Tour, you can do so at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. I'll thank you in advance. Where is it? And, you know, could they be trolling us? Sure. I mean, that's part of their game. But the weird part about the trolling message is that it's their own claim and data from right-wing sources contradicts their claims. So they really don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to, you know, what does the data tell us about election integrity? What does the data tell us about election fraud? What does the data tell us about how many illegal votes were cast? It's just not real. I think I have it here. Hang on a second. Kash Patel got absolutely hammered in that hearing just because he's a fucking idiot. Do I not have that? Yeah, I don't have it. I thought I did. Anyway, he was Jim Hines was questioning Kash Patel. I thought I had it. I guess not. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Okay. You get it, though. Everybody keep tapping, please. It is Free Speech Friday. Good morning, Kim. What's on your mind today?
Good morning, Steve. I was just going to share that, like, sometimes people don't even realize how difficult it is to get a passport. So
yeah,
I just got mine for the first time in my life. I had to go get a copy of my birth certificate. And when I did that, I realized that my mom's maiden name was wrong on my birth certificate. So then I had to apply to have that corrected. Well, but how do you do that when she's not alive? I had to request her birth certificate from a different state. And then once I got that, I had to get her death certificate. Then I had to take all of that paperwork and put in a request with the office to have my birth certificate corrected. And then when I sent in my paperwork to the State Department to request my passport, they said, oh, well, what change did you just make? You need to send us all of those documents that you just took to correct your birth certificate. And it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years with all of that nonsense to get my birth certificate. And it was very expensive. I had to pay for all of that mailing back and forth. And like, people act like this is not some kind of immense barrier, but it really, really is.
Well, if you're required to do it to vote too, that would be a violation of the law. There'd be a poll tax. You can't put a financial barrier between a voter and their vote. Exactly. So, yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us, Kim. I know that's. Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for jumping in today. You're very kind to be here. Appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. I found that sound, and Cash Patel's connected to this, and here's Cash again. We haven't talked about Cash in a while, but he's being questioned by Ranking Member Jim Hines.
Director Patel, how many non-citizens have been convicted of voting in U.S. elections in the last 10 years?
I don't have that with me, sir. Again, it's with the department.
You don't have that with, okay.
It's your department, dumbass. It's with the department. You're the fucking director of the department.
Director Patel, how many active investigations does the FBI have into foreign individuals voting in U.S. elections?
We have a number of investigations, generally speaking, ongoing about individuals across the country.
Yeah, I'm asking for that number.
I don't have that number with me, but I have a number of them.
You have a number of investigations. Okay, is that number...
What?
10,000? Is it closer to 10,000 or closer to 10?
It's probably somewhere in between.
Would it surprise you to know that the Heritage Foundation, which is not exactly the Columbia University Faculty Lounge, found only 77 instances of non-citizen voting in the 24 years between 1999 and 2023, each of which faced investigation by the appropriate authorities. So Heritage has a number of 77 examples in 24 years. Does that number surprise you?
No, because it's low.
No, because it's low. It doesn't surprise you because it's low? Did you mean to say, yes, it surprises me because it's lower than I would have thought, but you just, no, because it's low, it doesn't surprise you? What?
I don't understand your answer.
You asked me.
Are you disputing that the number is in the range of 77 examples of non-U.S. citizens voting in U.S. elections in a 24-year period?
I just said that number is low.
You think that number is low? Okay. So why, if this is a meaningful issue, we are to do no more business because of apparently the existential threat to our democracy associated with foreigners voting in our elections? I am therefore puzzled by the fact that neither the unclassified nor the classified threat assessment makes any reference to risk or danger associated with foreigners voting in our elections.
Make it make sense. So the data from the Heritage Foundation, from the Cato Institute, from others, all say the same thing. It's a microscopic percentage over 25 fucking years. It's a non-issue. So listen, if I was advising the Republican leadership right now, I would say, you know what? Absolutely. Go ahead. If I was a spy, let's see, if I was recruited, if I got my Soros check and decided to apply for a job within the Republican leadership team, and I would say, you know what you guys should do? You guys should totally focus on the SAVE Act because election integrity is such a serious issue. You should spend millions of dollars. You should ignore spending in swing states. You should go to red states. Red states so that you can make sure that you increase the majority. You can go down there and just tell them, advertisement every single day, illegals voting, millions of illegals cast votes over the last 9 years. Spend all your fucking money on that. Okay? Thanks. Like, all right, it's noise. They're not going to use the filibuster. I should say they're not going to nuke the filibuster. Republicans know this is just fucking posturing. So John Thune wants to go out there and say, oh, the Democrats don't want to protect election. I'm sorry. Democrats do not want to protect elections. Say then, well, we actually do because we support the law, and the law tells us that only 0.0000764%, whatever the fucking number is, over the last 25 years. We care about health care. We care about issues that are actually affecting America, like childcare, for example. Like we'd like to talk about raising the minimum wage, for example. We want to expand access to mental health care facilities, for example. We want to prop up the middle class, for example. Those things are what the majority of Americans want. But if you guys want to spend, and homelessness, for example, $200 billion, right? $200 billion is what the Defense Department is now asking for. But that's fine. Focus all you want on election integrity. Yeah, that's totally fine. Nothing to see here. It's crazy. Living my best life. How are you today?
Hi, how are you? You hear me?
I can. Thanks for being here. What's on your mind?
So I am a quality improvement specialist for around 36 daycare programs in New York City. And I just say that a lot of them are struggling because the funds are not there. They are taking children, some of the requirements by the Department of Health, and all the other requirements, OCFS, that are the ones that are funding them, don't pay enough. And like you said, they pay for part-time workers who cannot, they can't pay for their insurances. They have to have liability. It's a lot of cost. One of my providers actually showed me her account, and she was minus over $1,000. They don't pay themselves. They can't.
You're right.
Even when they have CFP food programs, they pay a certain amount, they get reimbursed, but it's not enough with the cost of food that's out there. It's this system and this government is squeezing everybody so much so that it's a miracle we still have daycare programs.
I agree. What's the incentive to open? What's the incentive to open a daycare facility?
None.
I mean, what's the incentive? Yeah, it makes it difficult.
And I'm part of CUNY, so I support a lot of them with a lot of the systems, and we give resources, we get funds, we pay for training for these individuals, we support them to go back to school, we have scholarships for them, and with that and all, it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
It is. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
You got
Thank
it.
you.
You got it.
Bye-bye.
We're talking just dollars and cents. Like I did this breakdown the other day because we're spending roughly speaking $1 billion a day. Thank you, K9. We're spending roughly $1 billion a day. So the estimates are this is going to go a month. We don't know. Let's assume it just goes a month. So $30 billion that we would be spending on another foreign fucking war. What could $30 billion do to healthcare, for example? Could expand the ACA subsidies and lower premiums for millions of middle-class families. Yes, please. Fully fund community health centers for years. Cover millions of uninsured people with basic care. $10 to $15 billion a year can significantly expand access and could reduce uninsured rates by a few percentage points nationally. Food assistance. What could $30 billion do for SNAP, for example? Increase SNAP benefits nationwide for a year. Provide free school meals for all students for multiple years. Expand summer food programs for kids. SNAP currently costs roughly $120 billion a year, so $30 billion would be a quarter of that entire budget. $200 billion. Imagine, so this is $30 billion. I haven't done the math on the rest, but imagine what $200 billion could do. Housing and homelessness. $30 billion could build or subsidize hundreds of thousands of affordable housing units across the country. Expand housing vouchers, Section 8, for example, to millions more families. Fund homelessness reduction programs nationwide. $25 to $30 billion could house a large share of chronically homeless individuals is one of the quickest ways to address poverty. Access, childcare, and early education. Subsidize childcare costs for millions of families. Expand Head Start, universal pre-K in multiple states. Cap childcare at a % of income, like proposals in recent bills, and it could cut childcare costs by thousands per family annually. Again, for all you capitalists out there, right, that you just believe capitalism is the way to go. Don't you want people, because for capitalism to function, people need to be spending money. That's how it's supposed to work. So why not put money back into a system that would actually fucking help us? Is $200 billion for more fucking G-side and more nation building, regime change fucking bullshit? Does that help me? Does that help you? Does that help the single mom who's working 2 jobs to make ends meet? Does that help the single dad who's doing the same? Does that help a system where we're already upside down when it comes to early education and childcare costs? This is what we talk about when we talk about changing the way in which we do business, so to speak. Democratic socialism model would prioritize these things. A matriarchy with trickle-up economics would support these things. That's the point. That's the entire fucking point. Actually, I think I'm going to read what I wrote because I think it's relevant. See if I can find it. Where did I put that? Give me a second. You guys know me. When something's on my mind, I have to write it out because it's the only way I can process shit. I get an idea that crosses my head. I'll give credit to Ash because I heard her talking about it on one of her lives. And I'm like, yeah, what does that look like? Hang on a second. Okay, so this would be, it's a combination of things. It's women's empowerment in a trickle-up world. Women's empowerment is not simply about a representation. It's about power. Who holds it, how it's exercised, and whom it serves. Around the world, women have demonstrated that when they gain access to education, capital, healthcare, and leadership roles, the benefits extend far beyond individual success. Families stabilize, communities strengthen, economies grow. Empowerment, then, is not a niche issue. It's a structural one. If women ruled the world under a trickle-up economic principle, the global system might look fundamentally different from today's dominant trickle-down framework. Trickle-down economics assumes prosperity begins at the top, corporations and the wealthy, and eventually filters down. That's a typo. Shit. Anyway, a trickle-up approach reverses that logic. It starts with the needs of households, workers, caregivers, and local communities, investing directly in the foundational layers of society. In many societies, women disproportionately occupy these foundational roles. They manage households, serve as primary caregivers, run small enterprises, and anchor community networks. Centering them would mean centering the base of the economic pyramid. Under a trickle-up system shaped by women's leadership, policy priorities might shift towards universal childcare, paid family leave, healthcare access, food security, and education. These are not soft issues. They are economic multipliers. When mothers have affordable childcare, they can participate fully in the workforce. When girls are educated, national GDPs rise. When healthcare is accessible, productivity increases. Investment at the household level stimulates local spending, which strengthens small businesses and circulates wealth within communities before it rises upward into larger markets. Such a world might also measure success differently. Instead of focusing primarily on stock market growth or corporate earnings, metrics could expand to include well-being indicators, maternal mortality rates, for example, educational attainment, wage equity, community health, and environmental sustainability. Leadership styles often associated with women, collaborative decision-making, long-term planning, and relational accountability could foster policies that prioritize stability over short-term gain. This vision does not assume women are inherently more virtuous or flawless leaders. Women, like men, represent a wide spectrum of ideologies and leadership styles. However, historically marginalized perspectives often bring fresh priorities. When those who have managed scarcity, caregiving burdens, and systemic exclusion gain influence, they tend to design systems that reduce those pressures. You know what you know. A trickle-up world led by women would likely invest first in the margins: children, the elderly, the poor, the environment, and education, recognizing that sustainable prosperity grows from a secure base. Economic power would rise from kitchens to communities, from neighborhoods to nations. Rather than wealth cascading from the top down, opportunity would expand from the ground up. Women's empowerment, therefore, is not only about equality, it's about redesigning systems to reflect interdependencies. If power flowed upward from empowered households and communities, the world might discover that lifting the base does not weaken the top, it strengthens it. So that's kind of the push, right? So if we just looked at things differently, if we just decided that, we talk about the economic power of our country. We talk about the structural advantages that we have. We talk about how industry, right here, and innovation here is world class. We just never had our priorities right. Hey, Smitty, we've just never had our priorities right. So shift it. Just literally flip the script. That pendulum's going to have to swing. Every single model we have of women in leadership prioritizes the things that we should all want. Stable futures, economic opportunities, better education, better health outcomes, but better maternal outcomes, reduction in crime, reduction in poverty. It's across the board. It's not rocket science, or as a friend of mine used to say, it's not rocket surgery. Exactly. You're right, so it's not. Is it too much to ask? No, it's not. We just have to ask for it. We're beyond asking. We have to demand it. Now, some people just believe that let the West burn. I get that. I understand that. The demise of capitalism, I totally get that too. I get it. My pragmatism is when, my progressive, my nihilistic progressive left-leaning libertarian model says the same thing, but deep down inside, I'm pragmatic. Like I want the system to be fixed, and I want women the ones fixing it. And to be honest, I want black women setting the script. We have to fucking learn at some point. And you guys know me well enough to know that I am a glass half full kind of person, which is good and bad. It's certainly I've been told, shut the hell up with your Pollyanna bullshit. But I believe that. I really believe. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be out here saying it. I know it's possible. It has to be possible. If I didn't think it was, I wouldn't be talking about it every single day. And again, that's part of the push to do something to her. To get out of the road, to talk to people, more importantly though, to listen to people, to find out, listen, there's so much more that connects us than divides us. And it's true, right? It's really true, because at the end of the day, if you just remove the D and the R and the blue and the red and the Democrat and the Republican and the independent and the socialist, and you just ask people, do you want your kids to have a better future than a brighter future than you had? Do you think healthcare should be more affordable? Do you think we should have a tax code that props up the middle class? Do you think we should respect work more? Do you think the government should stay out of our bedrooms and stay out of our pants and all that kind of shit? I can guarantee you, outside of this app, that conversation is going to go a hell of a lot differently. And I've had some conversations. I think I told you guys a few weeks back when I was at a dog park and I ran into a gentleman and found out the guy's a pastor at a church. Our conversation went a million different directions. He's a Trump voter. It went in a million different directions. The conversation started because he saw nail varnish. And he said, do you have a daughter? I said, I do. I said, she's older though. She's 18. I said, did she still paint your nails? I'm like, nope, I did it myself. And that was a weird question. He's like, I'm talking to this guy. He's got tattoos. He rides motorcycles. He grew up hunting and fishing, and he paints his own nails. He's got a beard. It's weird. I haven't gone to his church yet. That's coming up. I keep messaging him, and he hasn't gotten back to me. He doesn't do a sermon all the time because he's just a pastor there, but I'm going to go. So that conversation then turned into sex work. And he's concerned about legalization of cannabis because he didn't want it to lead to bad people. So this conversation went a million different directions, and we just had a chat. We spoke about the day-to-day. Why would we live in a system where we're being suppressed? Why are corporations getting richer and richer? You don't want that for your grandchildren, do you? And he's like, of course not. I said, well, then stop voting Republican, because they don't care about you. He's like, so you're a leftist? I'm like, no, I'm a humanist. I care about people. I want people to have a better fucking life. And we cannot do it in our system because the system built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me, and because of the Epstein class, now it's a system built to protect people who look like me. We have to flip the script. That's my wish. So, and scene.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Good morning. You too. How are you, friend?
I'm waking up. I sent something somewhat bad news. Tennessee passed a law that's going to allow schools to hang up the Ten Commandments alongside with the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and many other historic things. I put it in the mod chat. So that's happening. So that's happening here in. Sorry, I got a call halfway through that. Tennessee is slowly becoming Texas, and I'm like ready to be done with this state. It's just
the Republican-led Tennessee Senate passed a bill Thursday that would require school districts and public charter schools to display the Ten Commandments alongside other historical documents in a prominent place in the school. Would require public schools, friends. Public schools. Private school, do whatever the fuck you want. That's your call. Don't give a shit. Public schools, no thank you.
And it's just like the whole education area in Tennessee. There's also another bill. I believe it's HB 754, or I'll have to send the full number. And this is a bill that is requiring teachers and healthcare workers to become immigration status checkers. That's another one that hasn't passed yet, but that's on the docket in Tennessee. So Great. I'm sure if there's anyone in Tennessee, y'all can call your representatives. Andy Ogles knows me by name now. Andy Ogles' office knows me by name. So does Marsha Blackburn's office. Everyone needs to call their local reps. And are you cool? I sent you another thing. Is that okay if I promote that?
Yes.
So tonight at 7 p.m.
Thank
Central.
you for asking.
Absolutely. At 7 p.m. Central, Manny has his weekly immigration 1v1 debates, and I would love if everyone could come and support. We haven't done it in a little bit, but I would love to give this man all the love and appreciation that he gives back to multiple communities and myself. And everyone needs to uphold, because he is working on so many different projects to help us all stay educated in immigration. And maybe I have a slight little bias, just a tiny one though, right, Steve? Just a tiny little bias.
That's okay. You're allowed.
I am. It's just, I've never thought I would live in a state where the state views me as just an incubator, but they perceive my profession as something that we should check immigration statuses. Oh, Smitty, it's Manuel. Manuel is the content creator.
Yes,
you know me.
Post his at in the chat, Olive, so people can have it. They can follow him.
Yeah.
He's been on our show before. We love Manny. We love Manny almost as much as Olive does.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
His thing is also in my bio. If you guys go to my page, you can click his little at there and follow him that way. Because Manny's been on Smitty's panel a few times. But yes, so there's a shit going on in Tennessee, because the woman we have in charge right now is Marsha Blackburn, and she undermines other women as well. So.
Yeah, she does. So again, 7 o'clock Central Time tonight. There's a few things going on at 7 o'clock Central Time tonight. So we'll make sure that we'll make sure we talk about it all.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you, Olive.
I love you, friend.
I love you more. So talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
So again, the bill would mandate that the U.S. and the Tennessee Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights be hung alongside the Ten Commandments. Republicans argue the Ten Commandments are a historical teaching that shaped the foundation of our laws and guiding principles, unless you're a Republican. The 13 colonies that formed this nation, the Declaration of Independence was not in there when we formed our nation, nor was the Constitution, but what was in those 13 colonies was the Ten Commandments. And that's one of the basic historic documents that we want to make sure the founding of this nation was on, said Mark Pody, representative of Lebanon, the bill's sponsor. The original proposal, which would give schools the option to hang the documents, was amended at the last minute in the Senate to make it mandatory. During the floor debate, Democrats argued requiring schools where children go to learn to hang the Ten Commandments crosses that line that separates church and state. Our children need to be learning about reading, writing, and arithmetic, science, tech, to get them ready to be a world-class generation of kids who can push this country forward, not be indoctrinated to what the Bible says here and there, says Senator London Lamar, Democrat from Memphis. That is the responsibility of the church, their parents, their families, and whatever private entities they want to engage with in order to receive the teachings of Jesus. Other states that have passed similar legislation, including Louisiana and Texas, have faced significant legal battles, and a Republican leadership told News 2 Tennessee's bill frames the Ten Commandments as historical, not religious, and it also requires them to be displayed next to other historical documents. We are using this as an example of a document or tenets that were used in the construction of our nation. Again, just not true. Here are other governmental historical documents. It's not advocating for a particular religion in any shape or form or fashion. I think the sponsor made that very clear. Sadly, it's just fucking bullshit. I'm just curious about something a second. Hang on a second here. I'm going to do a little real-time research. Everybody keep tapping, please. So I was just curious. See if I can find this. Usually U.S. News does this. I'm looking for education rankings by state. Give me a second here. Okay. So of course the top. All right, here we go. So Tennessee ranks 27th currently. So they're in the bottom half of education results in our country. And instead of passing laws to help, I don't know, address that, instead they are now mandating, it's now the law that you have to hang the Ten Commandments. So the top 10 states in the United States for education outcomes: Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, Virginia, yes, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Rhode Island, Indiana, Maryland, New York, Vermont. So Indiana being the only state that voted red. And then the bottom 10, Oklahoma, Arkansas, West Virginia, Louisiana, Arizona, Alaska, New Mexico, and then there's a couple that are tied. So New Mexico being the only one in the bottom 10. Probably not a coincidence. Just saying. It's probably not a coincidence. Radical Empath, how are you today?
Hi, I just wanted to give a shout out to New Mexico and to let everybody know that New Mexico is now offering free universal child health care, so I'm really excited about that.
Wow, that's great. Talk about the other side of the coin. That's the opposite. That's fantastic news.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So I just kind of wanted to give them a shout out and let everybody know.
Thank you for jumping in today. I appreciate you very much.
Bye.
So I mean, think about that factor. So we have states like Texas, Louisiana, and others that Texas is in the middle of the pack. Texas ranks 30th in education outcomes. Louisiana is third to last. And Tennessee is 27th. Those states in the bottom half of our educational system, hey, Santana, decided that it's best to, let's support defunding the Department of Education so that citizens in your states don't have access to support services that the Department of Education would fund. You know, like special needs programs, right? Those states, by the way, also track with poverty rates as well. Funny. Also high rates of gun violence. Isn't it interesting how they're all related? But instead of investing in the education in your state, instead of doing that, no. Let's use taxpayer dollars and legislative time to pass a law ordering public schools to hang the Ten Commandments. If I was a principal in those schools, no fucking way would I do it. There's just no way. There's just no way I would do it. I would let them sue me. I would let them arrest me. I would make it national fucking news. There's no fucking way that I would do it. So again, educators in Tennessee, is this a do something moment for you all? Is this something that you're willing to risk? Is this something you can do? Is this something you're willing to go to a school board meeting or if you're an educator in that state, or if you happen to be a principal, or a superintendent and you happen to be listening to our show today, I literally don't care what side of the political spectrum you sit on. This is a clear violation of church and state. You cannot be mandating by law in a public setting. You cannot make the claim that it's an historical document because there are millions of others historical documents. Are you willing to say, nope, not on my watch? What are they going to do? If every school in the state said no, what are they going to do? They're going to just, what are they going to do? They're going to fire every principal? So fucking sad. We just don't have our, priorities in order. We don't. It's just a weird thing. Good morning. What's the word? How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just was listening to this, talk. I'm a public educator, and
Thank you.
oh, of course, I love it. I would want nothing more. But it's interesting to me because when I was in high school, we would crave wanting to ask questions and learn about different religions. We would do projects on it. We would learn about, when it came to U.S. history, we craved wanting to get to know it. In middle school, we learned about the Holocaust. And it was, in a way, the coolest learning experience, the way that my school in specific did it. So when they talk about this whole push to have just religion, and in specific Christianity, be the basis of learning, and then they try to they break apart the Department of Education, giving it to the states. The fear as a public educator, I'm luckily in a blue state, but the fear I have for, I'm a special educator too.
No, goodness. Hearts in the chat, please.
And I work with kids who are imprisoned, and deal with homelessness, mental disorders. And it's scary to me because I would give anything and do anything for my kids. But now we have this push to have the states teach, and clearly, Alabama, for example, wants to have the Confederate flag flown. That's what? So, in the case of special education, it's fear-inducing for myself because the supports for my students, the way that my students will be viewed in different states, it's horrifying. So I heard you talking about the firing of principals, the firing if they don't do this, and I think it's
that's just an assumption that I made.
No, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It could be.
The way that one of the principals that I worked with had to quit due to the pressures surrounding the town we're in. And so, I don't know, I just found what you were saying to be, you were saying it as a hypothetical, and as a public educator, it's heartbreaking, but I joined to say that it's actually very close to accurate. There are a lot of schools that are forcing principals, teachers, administration to kind of resign before, quote unquote, being fired for trying to push for the proper education. And I think what's hard too is, especially parents, that idea of learning and being sitting in discomfort, learning about the uncomfortable.
Right. Again, if it's a charter school or private school, I have no issue. But
exactly.
Public schools, no thanks.
100%.
No thanks.
So, I don't know.
You're
I
right.
don't know what my point was, but I just appreciate you speaking about it. So I just wanted to share in a way that it is fearful as a special educator in specific, knowing that there's so much and the oblivion of so many people supporting MAGA.
Exactly. The
So
ones that are suffering, the most, the states that are dominated by MAGA Republicans are the ones that have the highest poverty rates, highest rates of maternal mortality, lowest education rates. So it's all related.
and
Thank
those
you
are
for
the
jumping
kids
in
I
today.
work with. But thank you so much.
Exactly. You got it. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Yeah, I mean it's the flex, right? It is the flex that they don't think that they think it is, but it's actually not. So, but sadly, that's where we sit. Again, public education is public education. Are you gonna behave today? Are you gonna record? Are you gonna record live again so you can try to take advantage of my clout?
You put your live stream on YouTube, so it's recorded on YouTube.
Yeah, but I know, but you made a tribute video to me, which I appreciate. That's very kind of you.
Well, I took it off of your recorded live stream on YouTube.
Oh, I know, but you made a tribute video of me. I know you love me. I get it. I totally understand. I'm just wondering why.
Well, I wanted to show people that democratic socialists don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, and how many views did you get? Like 6?
Maybe 4, but I mean, people can still at least see it.
Right. Cool. Awesome. So what would you like to talk about today? It is Free Speech Friday, RCC. I respect free speech.
Can you define it for us today?
Again, what would you like to talk about today?
Democratic socialism versus socialism. I will even do the part to define socialism for you.
Oh, okay. So go ahead.
And then tell me how that's different from democratic socialism. But socialism is the repurposing of the means of production from the private sector and then giving collective ownership to the workers.
Yeah, workers own the means of production. That's a fair assessment. Mm-hmm.
And how does democratic socialism differ from that?
Because democratic socialism is not a system. It's more an ideology where you prioritize the things in society that make societies better. Education, healthcare, closing the wealth gap, prioritizing the rights of marginalized, making sure that everyone has a social safety net in case things go bad. So it's a fundamental difference. Now, within democratic socialism, there is some ownership, public ownership, utilities, transportation, things along those lines. But just because you have a system of democratic socialism doesn't mean that capitalism doesn't exist. It just means it's regulated.
Doesn't sound like it's any different from socialism. You're just giving me descriptors of socialism.
No, it's just because you're not smart enough to understand the differences. That's the difference.
Okay, so where am I not smart enough? What are these differences that I'm not understanding?
I just explained it. Prioritization of things that should matter to everybody. Propping up education, healthcare, making sure that capitalism doesn't go unregulated like it does.
Capitalism is regulated.
It's not, bro.
It's regulated environmentally.
That's my
There's
point.
monopolization
It's
regulations.
It's RC. It's not regulated. Because if it were regulated, you wouldn't see the massive wealth gap that we see. Now, would you, RC?
Sure, you would.
Are you fine? Are you fine with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer?
I'm fine with people that are earning money to make more money.
That's not the question I asked. That's not the question I asked.
Yes.
It's a very specific. So you're fine with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer?
Sure. Because what's the alternative to that? That everyone has the same amount of money? But what's the alternative?
Do you understand? So you are either really disingenuous. It's one of two things, RC. You are either really disingenuous or just not very smart. So which one is it?
Well, you're asking me like this trapdoor loaded question.
It's not a trapdoor question. It's a simple question, and you answered. You said you're fine with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. It's just a fundamental difference. Hold on.
But what's the alternative to that?
RC, stop.
To prevent rich people from making more money?
Stop. Did I say that would prevent rich people from making more money? Did you hear those words come out of my mouth?
Well, you're asking me, am I okay with the rich getting richer? So if
answer my
you're
question.
Okay with the rich people,
no. Again,
can we have a civil discussion? I'm
trying, RC, but stop trying to steer the conversation. It's a simple question. Are you okay with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer? It's
Yeah, I'm
really a
okay
simple
with
question.
rich people
Okay,
making more money, which you said
that's
you're
not the
also okay with.
question. That's
That's the rich
RC.
getting richer. That's what that means.
That's not the question. Listen to the question. Don't listen to react. Listen to learn. There's two parts. Are you okay with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer?
Yes, I'm okay with the rich making more money and the poor people, if they lose more money, they can lose more money. Yes, I'm okay with.
Good for you. Get the fuck out of here. Thank you for proving my point. That's why these conversations with you are a waste of my time. I only brought you up briefly just to expose how pathetic you are. For anybody to sit here in a system and really have that much of a take, that serious of a take, just goes to show you who you are. You have no character, man. You have no morals whatsoever. You sit there proudly supporting the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. It's pretty bad, man. It's not a good look. It's not surprising, but that's just who you are. Good morning, my friend. Thank you for the palate cleanse. I'm glad you're here.
Good morning, man. You do such good work. It is incredible, and it's an honor to be here.
Thank you.
A couple things, man. I'm going to try to make it quick. A couple things I wanted to come up on Free Speech Friday. I think the first was your previous guest, not the one that you just had, but the one before, that was talking about the Confederate flag being mandated in Alabama and what you talked about in Tennessee with the Ten Commandments. I think one thing that's very important as we look back in history and realize is that the big reason why these things are happening is not because these folks actually believe in what they're doing. It's always been about intimidation, right? If we look back in U.S. history, you'll see that the biggest influx of Confederate statues was actually during the 1920s and not right after the Civil War, right? And it was because you saw a lot of Black people going to fight in World War I. And after the aftermath of that, not only did we see the rise of Confederate statues, we saw the biggest race riots ever in U.S. history. And so this has never been about, oh, we believe in these 10 commandments or whatever it may be. It's been about the intimidation and the thwarting of a populace that is becoming more accepting, right, of other religions and other people and diversity. And that scares these folks that want to do these type of things. So that's the first thing I want to say. I want to get that out real quick. The second thing that I wanted to say.
I did.
Oh, go ahead.
That part. I was going to say I did not know that part about the overexposure of Confederate flags around the 20s. I did not know that. So thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The second thing, man, this is more of a frustration, and it's an ongoing frustration, is that as men, we get it so damn wrong when it comes to supporting women. And, you know, what's happened with Dolores Huerta is just so heartbreaking. And I see a lot of folks being very performative, and it really angers me. I don't think that the name of a bridge or the name of a school is more important than supporting women, right? If you say, okay, well, let's change the name of this bridge or the name of this school and you think you're done, right? That doesn't stop the problem. That doesn't stop why this happened. And all of these takes of, oh, well, she should have said something, 20, 30 years ago is exactly why she didn't say anything. And it's been, again, so frustrating to see. And I think we get it wrong. And this is why, and I've said this before, that we, in many ways, when it comes to misogyny, have to stop pointing the finger at MAGA because we have our own problematic misogynists, right, on our side too, right?
Absolutely.
That we need to deal with. And so that's just been a point of frustration. We have to do a much better job of propping up women, and especially women of color. If we are going to be the opposite of Republicans, we can't have our own white men making these mistakes, right? We are clearly not the opposite. We have to do a much better job of supporting women. So that was the second thing. And then the final thing is it's not lighthearted, but it's a little different. I haven't really talked about this piece of it. It's really fucking hot in LA. And I'm really concerned about global warming. I've always been, but man, this one's different. It's March and it's been almost 100 degrees for 4 days in a row. This is not good, man. Like, we've always had this kind of, again, it's always, we've always had our little heat waves. This one's different, man. This one is different. That's all I'm
Here's
gonna
the thing. Well, here's the thing, man. Don't leave it. Here's the thing. Yeah. So when it's 29 below zero out my front door in the middle of February, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from me. I'm just saying. I am just throwing that out there. I'm just letting you know. Although I would rather have, to be honest, I would rather have it 29 below than 100 any day. There's no
I'm
doubt in my
telling you,
mind.
man. I'm telling you. Listen, I that 29 below, you can keep it. You know, I'm gonna stay with I will stay with the 100 over the 29 below. But I just got to say that, man. It's been crazy, man. It's been crazy.
I appreciate that. Thanks for your break. Are you going live today, Smitty?
Yeah, I'll be going live in about probably 30 minutes or so.
Okay. If you're still live, we will rage you. I appreciate your brother.
I
Thanks a lot.
appreciate
You
you,
guys don't. If you don't follow Smitty, please follow him. Awesome creator. He's always been gracious to let me up on his panel, and I really appreciate it, bro. I've learned a lot from you. Thanks a lot for being here, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Love Smitty. Yeah, I guess it's one of those things, right? I mean, you know what you know. I would much rather have 29 below than 100 because I melt. I literally melt because it's a lot. From my perspective, it's a lot easier to layer. Because once you're down to your banana hammock and your mesh muscle shirt, you really can't go much lower. Not that I would ever wear that in public. I'm just letting you know. I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly. Layer what? Yeah. Good morning, Steve. How are you today? Steve White. How are you today? Steve, are you there? From one Steve to another.
By accident. How about that? By accident.
Okay, no problem. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. All right. I was in his pocket. You're right, Dolphin. Happy Friday to you too. What do I call you, friend? I just see your heart. What can I call you? Good morning. Yellow heart. Orange heart.
Oh, I think I also joined by accident. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. It happens. I get it. Everybody keep tapping, please. Good morning, Dolphin. How are you?
Morning, Steve. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Good. I wanted to bring up, cause even though I don't live in the state of Florida, I wanted to let people know that Florida has passed their own version of the SAVE Act. I don't like to say it cause sometimes, I don't know, I couldn't say it in my video without it getting muted. So, it is being challenged. It is currently in court. But I just wanted, Florida to be aware if you weren't already. And I would like to also tell you that I appreciate everything that you do, not only for the community, but for your children. You're just an amazing man. I would like to read what is literally on my flag. It says, "The will of the lazy should not be financed by the working. The time has come for change." And now, MAGA, if you're wondering, the lazy people are the rich people. Hi. Yeah. And I sent you a couple of bucks. That's all I could have send,
Dolphin,
but
thank you.
it's the least I can do for everything that you do for everybody else. I just wanted to come up and say thank you for all you do, and to point out that the words on my flag are literally for the rich, and it's time for us working people to take back our country. I remember when I was a kid, my dad, he worked at UAW Fords in Ypsi. And I live in Michigan. And he worked 14 hours. I never saw my dad. He worked afternoons. By the time I woke up, he was gone. He didn't get home until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. My mom, she was there. You know, 2 people did not have to work back when I was a child, back in the 80s. 2 people did not have to work. And now I'm seeing people with 2 to 3 jobs that can't even make ends meet. The difference between then and now is so sad, and I'm literally starting to cry. Because this wealth gap has gotten so bad that I'm in the lowest tax bracket. God forbid I lose lose any of my benefits. But I just want to say that I love you, and I love the chat, and I love everybody that I have met, and all of the support that you give to others, and all of the support that I have gotten from everybody else. It is appreciated, Steve.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Dolphin. You're the kind of people that I'm privileged to give voice to and support. So thank you for your kind words, and thanks for you're fighting too, friend. Because joy is resistance, and whenever I see you sometimes on your lives dancing or whatever it might be, that is joyful, and it puts a smile on my face. We all serve a purpose. We all have a part to play, and you're playing.
That's why I do it. That's why I do it.
Exactly.
But look, I'm gonna wean myself down before you toss me down. All right?
Oh, okay. I appreciate you very much for being
Whee!
here. I appreciate you very much, Dolphin. All right, let me just real quick. I want to thank some folks for kindly supporting our cause here. Savage, as always, thank you so very, very much. Mark, thank you for your 25. Appreciate you very much on the blue app. That's very kind of you. Very kind of you. Also over on the green, as we're marching towards our 25K goal for the Do Something tour. Thank you to, hang on a second, this is not loading. Yeah, Dolphin, very kind of you. Appreciate you very much. And then Lauren, thank you so much. You're very kind. Been listening to you for months, and I'm a big fan. Wanted to make sure I contributed to your tour. Keep doing all the good things, Steve. You're a great soul. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. You guys are great. Yeah, I mean, it is the fight, right? I mean, this is the ultimate fight that we're in here. And people have to pay attention, and we're going to try to call truth to power every single day. I don't know how, we need people involved. We need, whether it's the more conversions from the MAGA side, but we need more people involved in democracy. Abu, how are you today?
How are you, Siri?
I'm fine, thank you.
My name's Abu Slam from Gaza, Palestine.
Okay. Would you, let me. I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna mute you, sir. And let's, friends, if you guys want to, if you got some coins you want to spare, please consider doing that today. I would appreciate that. We're all in a giving mood. We're all in a generous mood. If you guys want to support Abu, please. If you have some coins to spare, please go ahead and do that. Okay. One more thing here. Let me just check. All right. I want to get into this interview that Joe Kent did with Tucker Carlson. There's a couple of series. In case you don't know, Joe Kent was part of the intelligence community within the Trump administration, and he just recently resigned because of what he basically said are lies connected to the reasons why we are in Iran. He sat down with Tucker at a couple of different times, and the stories are I'm not going to say the stories, but there's a history between the two. So this goes back, the first time I'm going to play for you goes back to January 2024, just before he became, you guys are great. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. You guys are kind. Awesome. In January 2024, former Green Beret and intelligence officer Joe Kent appeared on the Tucker Carlson show, warning that a U.S. war with Iran would be very bloody. Here's the sound.
One last question, because he called it 60 years ago. You referred to what a war with Iran would do to the United States. And I don't know that a lot of people in this country fully understand what Iran is as a nation state. It's not Afghanistan. What do you think the immediate and then longer term effects of a war with Iran would be on the United States?
Immediately, it would be very bloody. I have no doubt that we could probably defeat some of their air defense and go in there and have another shock and awe campaign. But again, like we saw how the shock and awe campaign in Iraq really didn't actually work in the long run. So I have no doubt that we'd have some immediate results that people would cheer about here in the United States. But Iran, Persia has always been an empire. It's been around longer than any of the other players in the modern Middle East right now, and they are not going anywhere. And right now, Iran has a lot of internal problem. They have a lot of internal strife with the Ayatollah and that government that's only been in power since 1979. But again, if we start conducting strikes in Iran, everyone in Iran will rally around their leader and they will become even more revolutionary. And then we will have Iranian proxies throughout the entire region that will be conducting attacks just like we had in Jordan. And really, in the long term, Tucker, the axis that has been built really since Putin invaded Russia and we decided that since Putin invaded Ukraine and we decided we were going to throw this massive sanctions package at them, China has come in as a major player and we are deeply compromised by China. They control a lot of our economy. They control global manufacturing. They're deeply embedded in Wall Street. And they've also made deals with the Iranians. They want access to Iranian petro, not to mention the fact that Biden killed off U.S. energy independence, and now he's going after LNG, and the world's biggest LNG exporters are Iran, Russia, and Qatar. So this axis would become very powerful. If we get deeply involved and deeply entangled with Iran, we are playing right into China's hands, because China would like nothing more than for us to be committing our military industrial base to a war in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, and then to be committing our conventional military power, our blood and our treasure, back in the Middle East. That will make the Pacific, our actual border, extremely vulnerable to Chinese aggression, or China will simply just watch us bleed out economically as we bleed out on the battlefield on these couple different theaters. It's absolute insanity. It's opening up Pandora's box. And again, for what gain to the American people?
I mean, I think that's the most reasonable, common sense based, factual assessment I've seen of this from anyone.
So that's Joe Kent. He appeared with Tucker Carlson in January of 2024, right? So 2 years ago. So this was just 2 days ago, and not even 21 hours ago. He appeared on Tucker's podcast again, and this is after he decided to resign because, you know, listen, I was told something, and well, here's the sound.
On the verge of getting a nuclear weapon.
No, they weren't, you know.
Hang on. Here you go.
Was Iran on the verge of getting a nuclear weapon?
No, they weren't, you know, 3 weeks ago when this started, and they weren't in June either. I mean, the Iranians have had a religious ruling, a fatwa, against actually developing a nuclear weapon since 2004. That's been in place since 2004. That's available in the public sphere. But then also we had no intelligence to indicate that fatwa was being disobeyed or it was on the cusp of being lifted. The Iranian strategy, it's actually pretty pragmatic. The Iranians are obviously aware of what's taking place in their region, and their strategy was to not completely abandon their nuclear program, because they saw what happened to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya when he said, hey, I've got no more nukes. I'll do what you say. I'll give up my nukes.
And we gave him the Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, we regime changed him, and he was, you know, executed by his own people in the most horrific way.
Oh, sodomized by a bayonet. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that's the lesson I think that the entire region took from that when Hillary Clinton.
Unfortunately, that's what the neocon, neoliberal warmongers, that's the lesson that they showed everyone in the region. And then conversely, the Iranians also knew that if they came out and said, okay, we've got a nuke, whether they were bluffing or not, Saddam Hussein, Iraq right next door. So they kind of had
this. And he hung, I think.
He was hung by his own people, you know, after a bloody, you know, war that's still essentially going on inside of Iraq. So the Iranians' position, when viewed from the lens of the region, was actually fairly pragmatic. They were preventing, you know, themselves from developing a bomb, but they still wanted the ability. They wanted the ability to enrich. They wanted the ability to have some components so that they weren't completely stripped of it. And when we always assessed that they were either several months or a year, 2 years away from actually being able to develop a nuclear weapon. And that's not because the Iranians are stupid people. I think we can tell right now that the Iranians are anything but stupid. They had the ability, I think, that the brain power to actually develop one, or they could have simply traded a ton of oil with Pakistan or with someone else to actually get a nuclear weapon. They were not doing that. We had no intelligence to indicate that they were.
So again, no intelligence to indicate that they were. So here's the thing. So just want to give you an idea as to who Joe Kent is. He resigned, and he resigned because he said basically that there was no imminent threat, and that the war was influenced by the Israel and pro-Israel lobbying pressure, according to him. He is a relatively senior official because his title was Director of the National Counterterrorism Center, focused primarily on Iran. Okay? So this guy's out. He's got a bit of a checkered past because he's been, he's been an American first voter. He's been accused of being a conspiracy theorist. He was an Army Special Forces. He was a CIA paramilitary officer. He ran for Congress twice unsuccessfully and has been a controversial figure due to past far-right associations. So what do we believe? It's one of these situations, right, where I've always challenged you guys, make sure you're checking your sources. We can't believe everything that we say. This one is weird to me because here's a guy who was all in on far-right conspiracy theories, doubling down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's some of the things about Joe Kent. Resigning as the director of the U.S. National Counterterrorism Center, Kent said Iran poses no imminent threat to our nation, and he asserted that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. A 45-year-old Special Forces combat veteran with ties to far-right extremism, Kent was considered as much of a loyalist as Trump could have in the government's top counterterrorism post. That's my issue. This guy was a hardcore fucking loyalist. And you could not find anybody more loyal to the Trump cause, at least in the administration, although you could probably debate that. But here's where we sit now. This guy's like, listen, this is just not true. It's a fucking lie. He could have stayed on and rode the Christian nationalist wave, which is what he wanted, but he said, nope. Kent's stated reason for resigning to run counter to Trump's insistence that Iran was poised to attack the U.S. On the 20th of February, the day the U.S. and Israel launched the first strikes, Trump said this about Iran, quote, its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. In a resignation letter to Trump, Kent countered that, saying, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign to encourage a war with Iran. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, whose office oversaw Kent's work, wrote in a social media post Tuesday that it was up to Trump to decide whether Iran posed a threat. Part of her hearing, same thing. After carefully reviewing all the information before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist Islamic regime in Iran posed an imminent threat, and he took action based on that conclusion. Except there is no one in the intelligence community that gave him the data that said that there was a credible threat and or an imminent threat. So where is the threat? We are there spending $1 billion a day. The Pentagon has asked for an additional $200 billion a day. The person whose job it was to provide intelligence to the White House to say, hey, here's the situation in Iran, quit because there was no imminent threat. He's not a radical leftist. He's not some blue-haired socialist. He's not a Wall Street elite. He's not a left-wing media cuck. He is a far-right extremist who has been nothing but loyal to the president going back to 2020. He was front and center for election denialism, extremist rhetoric, anti-immigration shit. This guy, you could not pick a more loyal, Kool-Aid drinking MAGA to have in the position to provide the president information. And this guy's like, there's no imminent threat. There is none. There is no imminent threat to any of this. I'm fucking out. But that apparently is not enough because now people are saying, oh, he was alleged to have stolen classified documents. They're trying to smear him. They are really trying to smear him because they have to. Because there is no justification for this war. There is none. None. So he mentioned something, and I wanted to kind of explain to you guys what this is. He talked about the fatwa. So a fatwa is a non-binding legal opinion in Islamic law. It is issued by a qualified scholar called a mufti or a senior cleric. It can address religious, social, political, or personal issues. Contrary to popular belief, a fatwa is not automatically a death sentence. It can be about everyday matters such as finance, marriage, ethics, etc. How it works in Iran. In Iran, fatwas carry more weight than in many other countries because of its political system. Iran is governed as an Islamic republic. The highest authority is the supreme leader. In this case, it's the Ayatollah. Senior clerics can issue fatwas, but those from top leaders can influence law, policy, and national behavior. So there is a nuclear weapons fatwa. The Khamenei has stated that nuclear weapons are forbidden. Iran has used this claim in international diplomacy. So the argument is that the fatwa from the Iranian government is like no nukes. There was no evidence. There was none. You heard it. Obliterated the nuclear enrichment program back with Operation Midnight Hammer, whatever. And apparently the obliteration didn't happen because they were, 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away, 1 week away? And there's a fatwa. Some other fatwas, the Salman Rushdie fatwa, 1989, issued by the previous supreme leader, called for the unaliving of author Salman Rushdie over his book, The Satanic Verses. This is the most famous and controversial fatwa globally. A fatwa, it does equal religious legal opinion. In Iran, it can be more politically powerful. Most are routine religious guidance, but some have major political impact. So there is a fatwa to address nuclear power and nuclear weapons in particular, issued by the Ayatollah, that bans nuclear weapons, that they're forbidden. Why would you do that? I mean, if you talk about these extreme religious states, you're not going to issue a fatwa about addressing nuclear weapons to only go against it. No one is up here defending the Iranian government. No one is doing that. No one is doing that. I'll make it very, very, very clear. But there is so much intelligence that says absolute fucking bullshit. They were not close to a nuclear weapon. They weren't. Now there are people saying that they were close to an ICBM that could reach the US. Another fucking lie. And here we sit. $200 billion more now? That's going to track. RC's back, friends. He loves me so much. Love. Good morning, within one heart. How are you today?
Good morning, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Good. I just wanted to briefly say something about Cuba.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm Cuban, but I came when I was 6 months old, so I can only speak about family members.
Okay.
There is a big lobby in DC with oligarch Cubans that had money, and they want to reclaim everything they once had. We're talking about 67 years. So when you left Cuba, you obviously left everything behind, and the houses and the land were distributed because they were nationalized. So people have been living on this land and these homes for 67 years. And the old Cubans in Florida want to reclaim all that. The Cuban people themselves were the ones that had to live through the sanctions the United States placed on them.
Mm-hmm.
And now Mr. T is saying that Cuba is harboring tea people.
Of course.
Which isn't true. What happened is that Cuba has one of the best schools of medicine in the world. And they have over 100 countries sending people to study medicine there. So there are some Palestinians that have been there studying medicine. That doesn't make them teas. They're not in any form or fashion. So I just wanted to point that out.
Appreciate that.
Where before people jump on the bandwagon about helping Cuba. And also, you have to remember that Cubans have been fighting for their, quote, freedom since the Spaniards left. Now, on top of that, they've had 67 years of propaganda and indoctrination against, quote unquote, the Yankees. I don't think it's going to go well. Okay.
No, probably not. Probably not. Thank you for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you being here, and thank you for calling that out. And yeah, we obviously have to pay attention to Cuba now because that's apparently just another hobby that the United States wants to take over another country. Thanks for being here, friend. I appreciate you. Here we go. Once again, we know that there was a power outage. The grid was attacked, and they're starving. And here we sit. But again, don't worry though, guys, because the U.S. Mint's going to print a Trump coin. You know what? RC will probably spend his $250 to go out and get one. And then dangle it on his gold chain while he's flexing in front of the mirror saying, how can I get and talk to Facts today? Oh, I love Facts so much. I can't wait to talk to him. Do you think if I wear a gold chain with my shirt unbuttoned down to my belly button, he might like me? No. Nope. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Not because you're... No, I wouldn't. Succubus, how are you today?
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks for asking. So I'm always at work, and I listen to you while I do my job. And I noticed that you had, on Wednesday, you had WTF Wednesday.
Yes.
What a wonderful idea. Tooting my own horn over here.
That's the new. Well, I was going to say exactly. I'm glad you're here because it was your idea. And yes, we are going to be doing that from now on. What the fuck, Wednesdays?
Exactly. Awesome. That's so cool. I mean, after that last one, I was like, oh my God, like needed. And I did watch the other day because I stayed home. I tweaked my back, so I stayed home from work the other day, and I watched the Manosphere documentary.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's on Netflix, you all. If you haven't seen it, your face will make weird things happen with about 3 minutes in. It's a must-see. It's a must-see for everyone here. Watch it with your kids and ask them questions. But it's just, it was borderline surprising to me at how boldly ignorant these men are about their stance of women. I'm like, oh my, it's scary.
It's weird, Angel, because I think Myron's actually a pretty smart guy. I mean, I think he knows that he knows it's a grift. His views are horrible. But it's intentional. They've all admitted it. They all know that they're in it for the money. They all know that it gets clicks. They're all about their fame. They're all about their flex. They're all about their, they're flexing for RC because RC loves it. But my point is that the entire thing was based on a grift. So you capitalize on things like fame, fortune, fancy cars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden you've got them hooked. Then it's like, well, if you want to maintain this status, feel free to cheat on women. Feel free to have a one-sided monogamy. Feel free to abuse women. Feel free to belittle women. Feel free to say the most horrible, disgusting things there is to say about women. And then you've convinced that entire community that success, wealth, prosperity equals misogyny and the patriarchy. That's the danger.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the part with, I think it was what is his name? HS's mom or whatever it is, or MH's mom.
Yes, HS, you're right.
Yeah, she was like, no, and in the background, he's like, yeah, and I can't. I hope that their mothers all get to see that documentary so that they can kind of maybe talk to their sons.
Yeah, we talk about it a lot in this space about how dads really, because the one common thread is that there was no dad, and in most of those houses they were not there. And their moms all worked hard. Their moms all tried to do the best they can for them, to try to set good examples for them. And their baby boys grew up to be complete fucking monsters. So
yeah, and I find that even more confusing. You're raised by a mother, and you're going to have this view of women. Just
the power.
My mind is blown.
I know. Thanks for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you very much.
Thanks,
for being
Steve.
here.
Everyone have a great day. Bye.
You too. See you later. Yeah, I mean that's there's so many layers to this thing to unpack. There's so many. A bit of good news. Actually, that's good timing. I saw you requested. That's really good timing. That's really good timing. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Happy Free Speech Friday. You have an event tonight.
I do.
Right? You want to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm going to prom with my mom, like Nick Shirley did.
Is it prom season already? It seems early. You have to navigate through all the snow in Wisconsin, I guess, right?
Oh my gosh. No, it's just at home, which is with my mom, so it's fine.
Got it. Understood. Okay, that's funny. Yes, with Nick Shirley. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
No, I am. So we're having a live tonight at 7 p.m. Central, and it's going to be a heavy live. We're going to be talking about abuse and red flags, and how to leave. And we've got a panel of, excuse me, sorry, I just woke up. I'm sniffing right in. A panel of different people, and we're going to just talk kind of organically. And just kind of open up the conversation, hopefully for people who may not know if they're in an abusive situation, or if they know somebody in an abusive situation, or if they have questions, if they feel alone, whatever the case may be. And and with that being said, we're going to kind of continue to try to do lives like this. And we know that there are people who don't look like me that need their voices heard, and that there's going to be intersectionality, and so if we don't hit all of those targets tonight, we're building that. So with that being said, we're going to kind of open up the floor afterwards for people to have just a few minutes to maybe come up and say a few things. And so, I don't know, all of our communities have collided, and we're going to try to do something with it.
So 7 Central, 8 Eastern time tonight. That's good to know. On you're hosting it on your channel?
Yes.
So a few days have probably passed since you watched Inside the Manosphere. Any additional thoughts that have popped into your head? Because it's related topically to your show tonight. Not directly, but topically. Is any additional thoughts that popped into your head in general about that?
Man, I don't know. That was a tough watch. I think I agree that it's a grift, but I think what the common they're searching for something. There's something that these young men didn't get, and we talk about the absence of a father. And I think that obviously plays a role in it. And I agree with you. When you listen to them talk, I can't remember what's the itchy butthole guy, the Miami guy. He just looks like an itchy butthole. I just cannot. That's all I can think about is that he just
the guy from Louisiana, Justin Weller, I think is his name. Is that
the
guy?
one who had the pregnant girlfriend at the end, and he was sitting up on the countertop talking about. Yeah.
Justin Weller. I think that's
Yeah.
Or Waller,
they're all. I feel like we need to teach young boys how to have shame, and they have no shame. I would be so embarrassed. The average person would be embarrassed to watch back, and. You asked me the other night, how do we stop? I don't know. I do not know the answer on how to stop this. I think what we're doing and talking about it, I think highlighting that it's a grift, I think exposing them, nobody likes to be used. And maybe that's what young men need to see, is that they're being used. And giving them value or worth. I think the saddest part of that whole documentary was, Crab and Goyle, the two Edgars that were like, we were born without value. They literally have been told that because they're men and boys, that they were told that they're born without value. And it made me really sad, to be honest. So I think my thoughts on that are, if you have young boys, or if you know anybody that has young boys, or that they need to be loved and they need to be told that they are valuable for just being who they are. And maybe that's the way we combat it. It's hate versus love. It really is.
There's really no counter programming, right? Because it's the Turning Point USA script, it's the Red Pill, it's the subreddit communities, it's the dark web, it's all those kinds of things. There's really no counter programming. I mean, it's difficult when you're fighting against Lamborghinis and Rolex watches and finely tailored suits and condos in Miami. That's compelling. There's no doubt about it. That is compelling. And if you look at their feeds, if you look at their YouTube channels, all you see is the ad for these get rich quick programs, these MLMs, these complete pyramid schemes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You get hooked in on the glitz, and then you stay for the misogyny.
It's an MLM for sure. Did you see Angie left Myron?
Well, you saw that at the tail end of the video. Yeah, they talked about that. Exactly.
Well, but did you see her? So, sorry, let me clarify. So she made a couple of videos. I'll have to share them with you. And she talked about how she got out and she's with somebody who loves her and treats her well and she's happy. And she also said she didn't really want to be in that documentary and she didn't really know what was going on and, or whatever. But at the very end, she thanked Louis. And she was like, I have to thank him for asking me those questions because I think, she kind of had to stare those answers right in the face. So that was pretty, I thought, that I think might be the way, right? Is maybe through women. I mean, I don't know how lonely men need to get to understand that this isn't what women want. And sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Well, I'm not a man, right? So I don't know for sure like what is going on in their heads. And so when they say things like, it's not about getting women, right? They just want the fame, they want the things. I don't I want to believe that part of that is true, meaning that sure, they should want things for themselves, but they're not, because even if it's not for women, that mindset's like really, really dangerous as well. But maybe that's the deprogramming, is like eliminating what they want to essentially purchase, which are women. And that's through, they see it as transactional because they believe if they have these things, that's what we want.
Well, something you just touched on, and I was just looking it up because I've cited this study that was done by David Buss before. He surveyed 30 plus countries with thousands of participants. And what the red pill community in the manosphere is teaching young men completely contradicts what women say they want in men. Because on the manosphere side, it's about wealth, it's about glitz, it's about six-pack abs, it's about your fame, your fortune, your possessions, your status. That's what red pill is teaching young men, whereas the survey said that women want kindness and warmth, honesty and trustworthiness, intelligence, emotional stability, sense of humor, and physical attractiveness out of 9 categories was 8th.
Yeah. They just tell us that we're lying. I mean, I have these conversations every day and we go over these stats and they say, yeah, that's just not true because I have eyes and I can see it. And I think the issue there is just that like dating's hard. Getting to know people is hard. There's effort that goes into showing somebody the type of person you are. And, we've talked about this a lot too, is that, through women and marginalized people's liberation, the things that that really carried men far enough, which was just sort of their freedom. And then we gained safety by, having a husband who worked. We left our father and went to, whatever the case may be. And through liberation, we don't need that anymore. So so they just keep saying this is what you want, but it's not. But I think, and I saw somebody down in the comments, and the thing is, and the truth is there are enough women that will still gravitate towards that, because this indoctrination goes two ways. That's the thing, is that there's, young girls are hearing this too. And just like inside all oppressed groups, we're trying to survive. And some of us will choose proximity to the person who oppresses us. And so there's a double, message here, and there's double work for us to do with young kids. Now, I will say that I think young girls are gravitating towards more of liberation and saying, like, get fucked. But at the same time, I mean, it's hard. So I don't know.
It is. I just thanks to you for doing the work. You talk about it a lot, so good on you. And again, just one more time, plug your event tonight.
Yes. So tonight, 7:00 Central, a panel of several people who will kind of come up and just talk about their abuse with men. We are focusing on abuse from men, and I hope this encourages men who need to talk about situations that they've been in, because I will just say it. Yes, women can also abuse men. And I'm already prepared for how come you don't talk about this? How come you don't talk about this? Men, I want to encourage you to have spaces for yourself and for men. Women have worked very hard to create spaces that are safe for them and for other people. And there's a reason why we don't want to center you when we're having those conversations. And I want to encourage you all to do that. And women, we hope that this just starts something. We've got to keep talking. Not talking about it is how it keeps perpetuating. So,
Sunlight's the best disinfectant.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ash, for jumping in. I appreciate that. And again, it's 8 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Central on Ash's page. Thank you for being here. I appreciate
you. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to tune in. I think it's one of those conversations that we have to have. And I think something she said that's so accurate. Gentlemen, you got to be willing to have that conversation too, right? But more importantly, maybe when there's events like this and spaces like this, that you just kind of sit and listen. You don't have to comment. You don't have to be centered. All you need to do is listen. And I would also encourage the same when it comes to white people going to black spaces and doing the same thing and just sitting there and listening and not commenting, not centering yourself, just trying to learn. That's how we move the needle. If we want to push back, and part of me in dissecting this inside the manosphere is that there really is no counter programming, right? It's maybe we're counter programming to that. I don't know. Maybe we are. When we're talking about this and we're calling out how this behavior is just beyond to call it unacceptable is minimizing it. But maybe that's what it is. And Ash brings up a good point, right? It's men have to be having these conversations, willing to have these conversations. But when you are getting inundated by again, it's appealing. Imagine yourself as a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old boy. And you see these figures that have become famous on YouTube and on Twitch and other streaming services, right? A lot of them connected to the gaming community. Then they sort of, metamorphosize into other social spaces. And they've got their fancy cars, multiple cars. And they've got their 2 houses. And they have a beautiful woman on their arm. And they're flashing their Rolex. And they're sitting in have a tailored suit. And there's shots of them in the gym. And they're getting all ripped. That is appealing. It's hard to fight back against that. That's appealing, right? It's superficial for sure, but it's appealing. and that the entire manosphere message is completely contradictory of what women want. And when women say, well, these are the things they want, what do men say? That's not what you want. You're lying to yourself. You want to be led. At the end of the day, what I came from for I'll summarize it this way, and I've said this all week long. Men are submissive. Men are subs. And we saw that on full display watching the inside the manosphere. Total fucking subs. We will just follow whatever we think is important. So, gentlemen, got a lot of work to do, and I hope that maybe tonight's the night that you, and speaking of subs, RC's back, but you're not coming back up. The irony of that is that the contradiction from the manosphere messaging to what women actually want is just mind-boggling. Somebody who just requested. This one come back up. Oh, look, RC the sub left. Probably has to go flex.
Hey, Steve.
Blackout, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Just to comment on what you were just saying as well, too, I'd say it's the not having the opposite community to push back against that, to give people another option. You know what I mean? It's such a big point of it. And absolutely, just kind of listening, like you were saying, is a huge part of it, too, because we've been hit with this messaging for so long that actually hearing from women and hearing from minorities is the best way to learn and educate yourself. So
it is. Like, I believe empathy comes from understanding. You know, I'll never know what it's like to be a black man in America, but I can try to learn and try to understand what they've been up against and then empathize. So that's what we all have to do. We can all use a lesson in empathy. If you ever want to get more empathy, just hang out in our community. We got plenty to spare. But thanks for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you very much.
Of course, absolutely. If I could, real quick, I was commenting on Dolphins.
Go for it.
Dolphins' previous point. They had said something. It's time for working class people to take back our country. And I actually want to ask you something, Steve. It feels like most people can't afford to push back. So if our pushback has a time limit on it, right? Because we got to go back to work. We got to, keep surviving, basically. How do we make the system change if that's the case?
It's a great question. So if you're talking about a general strike or things like that, I get it. I understand. Not everyone can do that, but there's always something that we can do, which is the entire push of the do something movement. You may not be able to sacrifice a day at work. That's unfortunately a systemic problem within our system, but you certainly could use your skills elsewhere. You could volunteer. You could help out a neighbor. You could help out a friend. You could volunteer at schools. You could attend school board meetings. You could become a school board member. There are little things that we all can do. Yes, we know that one of the biggest ways, the most impactful ways to go after corporate capitalists is to go after their money. We may not have we all may not have that level of power, but it doesn't mean we can't do something.
Absolutely. And that's what's crazy is I think most people can't afford to strike. And it's not that we don't want to strike or boycott. It's that we can't. And that's where I think we can use sort of these no kings and the protests coming up in part of the do something action to create kind of like a flywheel or a momentum loop so that no matter how people are contributing, we're recognizing that it's not just the system. It's kind of like the system takes advantage of us because we're so dependent. And if we could get back some more local power and community power, we'd have a little bit more leverage to kind of force that change rather than demand it. Because it's almost like if we can walk away from the system, that's the biggest power we can have. So they made sure the majority of people couldn't walk away. And it's almost like this chicken and egg problem, it feels like. We can't strike without savings. We can't have savings without striking. How do we make it happen? And that's where I'm right there with you. It's that do something. We say amplify, recruit, or build. Anybody can do one of those three things. Amplify the message, recruit others into it, build in your local community. But appreciate you so much. Thank you for being such a big part of my morning.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate you for being here. Have a good day. Be safe out there. All right, got some more folks in the box. Maybe not. Yes. Heidi, are you there? It's not. Good morning, brother.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm all right.
All right, well, listen, a little bit of good news. I guess the Japanese Prime Minister did say they will send Godzilla to the Straits to help out with the escort the ship. So that's a big one right there.
Yeah, that was so embarrassing.
It was awful. But listen, with your buddy, your fanboy RC, I think you've kind of phrased it wrong. You should have said to him, are you okay with people getting richer while they're making people poorer?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. That's kind of where it was going.
Oh,
but,
I know, but you know, if you just say, "Are you okay with people getting richer?" They're going to say, "Yeah," because why shouldn't people get richer? But I think if you phrase it more by making, "Are you okay with people getting richer by making other people poorer?" That's more would hit home.
Well, RC doesn't have a.
No,
RC has no character, Chris. So yeah, so
that's true.
That's the
point. But
yeah.
what people really have to look at right now is Trump is turning this country into one of his businesses. He's bankrupting it. Because you look at the economic data that's coming out, and I don't think people are paying enough attention to the fact that there was a record number of people taking money out of their 401ks. That Powell just came out and said there's been zero job growth in 8 months. That the cost, if it's a hot summer, people aren't going to be using their air conditioner because utility prices are going to be so damn high.
It's true. They're already talking about like 25 to 30% of LNG that primarily fuels Europe and parts of Asia over the course of the summer, as you just described. The electricity costs are going to increase fourfold or tenfold or whatever that might be. So yeah, this is really, really bad.
It's really bad, and what people don't understand, one thing Biden did as far as with natural gas, because we've converted so much of our electric production to natural gas, is he actually limited the amount of natural gas that was produced here that could be sold overseas. One of the first things Trump did was get rid of that. So now we're shipping natural gas, which is another reason why utility prices, why your electric bill is going through the roof, because the cost of natural gas is going up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's things, you know, people aren't really, I think people are missing the attention on the overall greater picture. And realistically, the way I see it now, it looks like it's going to be a blue tsunami. I mean, fingers crossed, there's a lot of time, but
yeah,
the economy is the thing that really hits people.
I don't want you to worry, though.
I'm not worried.
Want you to worry. I don't want you to worry because we're going to have a newly minted 250th anniversary birthday coin with the president's face on it with an eagle on the back that you can get that will be valued at $1, or you can get the 24 karat gold plated version, which will cost you $250. So I don't want you to worry.
Oh, I'm taking all my money out of my 401k and I'm going to invest in another $250 coin.
Totally. I mean, you know, I'm sure you could probably buy 4 at $250. Then I'm sure you could turn around and sell them to RC for like $1,000 a pop.
Probably.
He would love it.
With my Trump bucks.
Yeah, he would love it.
My Trump bucks, I'll sell them those too. You know what? There's plenty of my Trump sneakers. You know, there's plenty of crap to sell. And these idiots will buy.
Guitar.
Yeah.
Of course they will.
These the Trump watch. The Trump phone.
So I don't want anybody to worry. The president's looking out for you.
Oh, absolutely. If you deal in Trump merchandise, you're all set. Well, I don't know if you saw, there was a story. There was a kid just came across. He admitted that he just grifted. He made believe he was a MAGA supporter, and he went on. He was an African American kid, and he went on and he claimed he was a Trump supporter just to grift MAGA people out of money. And I forget how much money he made. It was the funniest thing. He just went on and claimed he was MAGA and wore his little MAGA hat, and finally he got as much money as he wanted. And he said, "Yeah, that was just an act. Because they're so stupid, they'll just give you money." You know. It's a beautiful thing.
That's where we are. Thanks for jumping in today, bro.
All right, have a good weekend, my friend.
You too. See you later. Take care, guy. Right? I mean, like, come on. We laugh so we don't cry. Here we sit, $1 billion a day. $1 billion a day on this war that no one can give us an answer as to why we're there. No one can give an answer as to why we're there. The intelligence community, the FBI, the Pentagon, global intelligence services, no one can give us a reason why we're there. The story fucking changes every fucking day. So I've got a little soundbite that I want to play for you guys because I think it was Sean Ryan who did it. Hang on a second. Did I have this? You guys know Sean Ryan, podcaster, who's a loyal Trump guy. He's compiled a whole bunch of shit, and I'll play it for you. This is nuts. You're going to be like, yep, that tracks.
The campaign trail. Trump advisor Stephen Miller on X. Liz Cheney is Kamala's top advisor. Liz wants to invade the whole Middle East. Kamala equals World War III. Trump equals peace. Tulsi Gabbard, October 28, 2024. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for Dick Cheney and a vote for war. War and more war. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to end wars, not start them. Miller also wrote, Kamala will send your sons to war. J.D. Vance, 2023, on the Wall Street Journal. Trump's best foreign policy? Not starting any wars. He has my support because I know he won't recklessly send Americans to fight wars overseas. The Republican National Committee promoted Trump. Vance is the pro-peace ticket. Trump on October 30th, 2024. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, in quote, oh gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. Pete Hegseth, December 2025 speech. Our department will not be distracted by democracy-building interventionism, undefined wars, and regime change. Every single one of these things is a complete lie.
Don't forget, during the Biden administration, Trump said, this president is going to drive us into war because he doesn't know how to negotiate. Well,
here we are.
Here we are.
The entire world is worried that we're going to go into World War III here.
For good reason.
So you've lost the plot, MAGA. That's one of your guys. That's one of the voices, and to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Sean Ryan's politics, but I like his show. Because he does ask questions of people in power on the right, even though he's, obviously firmly embedded. But I think it's interesting that he that he's calling it out, calling out the hypocrisy, which is exactly what we're all calling out. And now the Pentagon is asking for $200 billion more, and Mike Johnson's already signaled that he'll sure sign up for it. The fuck are we doing? What are we doing? Well, we got the intelligence chief, Tulsi Gabbard. I want to play this sound from John Ossoff because he's the one that, to me, that really did the best job of exposing her. Because first of all, John Ossoff's dreamy. John Ossoff is somebody whose I think's name we're going to see in the future when it comes to presidential politics. He's obviously in a very important Senate holds a very important position in the Senate, being from Georgia. But this was his questioning of Tulsi Gabbard. And this kind of summarizes a lot of what we talked about this morning about how no imminent threat, no intelligence to support any of it. So just listen to his line of questioning.
Intelligence community is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated by last summer's airstrikes.
Yes.
In the opening statement you submitted to the committee last night also stated, quote, there has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability, end quote, correct?
That's right.
And that's the assessment of the intelligence community.
Yes.
The White House stated on March 1st of this year that this war was launched and was, quote, a military campaign to eliminate the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, end quote. That's a statement from the White House. Quote, the imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime. Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide threats hearing where you present to Congress national intelligence timely, objective, and independent of political considerations. You've stated today that the intelligence community's assessment is that Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated and that, quote, there had been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. Was it the intelligence community's assessment that nevertheless, despite this obliteration, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
It is not the intelligence community's responsibility to determine what is and is not an imminent threat.
I'm sorry. What? That's your entire fucking job. I'm sorry. What?
Okay.
That is up to the president
here's the problem.
based on a volume
no,
of
it is
information
precisely
that he receives.
It is precisely your responsibility to determine what constitutes a threat to the United States. This is the worldwide threats hearing.
Oh my God.
Where, as you noted in your opening testimony, quote, you represent the IC's assessment of threats. You are here to represent the IC's assessment of threats. That's a quote from your own opening statement.
Correct.
And so my question is, as you're here to present the IC's assessment of threats, was it the assessment of the intelligence community that, as the White House claimed on March 1st, there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime? Yes or no?
Once again, Senator, the intelligence community has provided the inputs that make up this annual threat assessment.
You won't answer the question.
It is the nature of the imminent threat that the president has to make that determination based on a collection and volume
You're here
of
to be
information and
timely.
intelligence that he is provided with.
That is her job. That literally is her job. She is the director of national intelligence. That is her job. Her entire job is to determine what is and what is not a threat. And when asked that question, she said, it's not my job. We talk about, we joke oftentimes about the level of incompetence in this administration. From Kristi Noem being pushed to the curb, Pam Bondi, Caroline Leavitt, Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, Tulsi, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's one thing to be incompetent, and it's one thing to be embarrassing and how pathetic they all are, but this shit is fucking dangerous. She is dangerous. Because how can you sit there and say to the American public that your job is not your job? What? How the fuck does that work? What? Like, that is literally your job. It's literally what you're supposed to do. That's why we pay your fucking salary, so that you can inform the intelligence community and ultimately Congress and those that need to be in the know what's a threat and what isn't. But apparently, Tulsi, you thought it was a better use of your time to take direction from the president and just go hang out in Georgia. Because you think that the foreign interference in our elections is more of a threat than imminent threats against the United States from a perceived nuclear power. Right. Okay. Nothing to see here. That's totally fine. Here's more questioning from members of Congress. This is Mark Warner. The reason I had some sound pulled from the Mark Wayne Mullen hearing. What we need to know about that is that John Fetterman is a fucking coward, because Rand Paul voted against pushing Mark Wayne Mullen's nomination through committee. If John Fetterman had voted with Democrats, Mark Wayne Mullen would not be the next nominee for the position of Secretary of Homeland Security. Plain and fucking simple. That's how it went down. Fetterman has to go. I don't know what the fuck has happened. Always questionable for sure. But you literally are going to vote for Mark Wayne Mullen? Okay. So this is Mark Warner questioning. Again, I was going to play some of the sound from his hearing, but it's irrelevant at this point. So this is Mark Warner questioning Tulsi Gabbard.
Are you saying there is no foreign threat to our elections in the midterms this year?
As I stated in the outset of my remarks, this year's annual threat assessment matches the prioritization of threats and
Please answer the question, yes or no. Is there foreign threat interference to our elections this year?
Laid out.
Are there foreign?
Please allow me to answer the question, sir. The intelligence community has been and continues to remain focused on any collection and intelligence products that show a potential foreign threat for those who are
so far there has been none then, because you've made no reports. Excuse me, ma'am. If you want to ask the questions, you should have stayed in Congress. Please answer the question.
I didn't ask you a question, sir. I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay. Don't worry, I got some more from her. We're gonna dog walk Tulsi with her own fucking words today. Okay, here is, as I was mentioning, the president apparently thinks it's more important for Tulsi Gabbard, who has no purview over elections. The argument was, we are being fucking hacked by foreign entities. So again, Mark Warner questioning her on why the fuck she was in Georgia.
He knows that you were recently involved in an FBI operation to seize ballots in Fulton County, Georgia. Yet this was despite the fact that the warrant showed no foreign interference or nexus. Matter of fact, the warrant was based entirely on conspiracy theories that have already been examined and rejected repeatedly. Now, where is the authority for you to involve yourself in a domestic law enforcement activity?
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I appreciate the question. As you know, I've addressed every issue you've raised in detail in a letter, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it in this forum. As you stated, Congress provided by statute, ODNI, with the responsibility of election security and counterintelligence in 2021. As you also know, ODNI has purview and oversight.
I know the history very well, but could you just
I am addressing the question. ODNI also has purview and overview over two domestic related agencies, the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, both of which have purview over election security responsibilities to ensure the integrity of our elections. I want to correct one of your statements that you've made multiple times, which is false. I did not participate in a law enforcement activity.
Intelligence hearing when she said that the president approved the $220 million Jizz Jet ad campaign. Remember that? And that's what cost her job. So she just said, I was there at the direction of the president. Now, obviously, there was no legitimate reason for her to be there. So when the president gets questioned about that, what's he going to say? Who's next to go? You can meet Christine Oman, the unemployment line.
Observe this action that had long been awaited. I was not aware of what was in the warrant or was not in the warrant.
And what was the president's specific request for you to go to? What was the specific request that was made by the president for you to show up in Fulton County?
To go and observe the FBI's activities on this issue.
So why?
When you look at the forward,
do you have the answer why the president was knowing about this affidavit before it was even served?
I'm not aware that the president knew about an affidavit before it was served.
Then why was he sending you to Fulton County?
Exactly.
This occurred the day that the FBI had it approved, their warrant approved by a local judge, and they began to execute this.
I think Tulsi's about to be appointed Secretary of DCS. That would be the diaper changing service, because she is, I mean, I don't know how you come back from that, but that's okay. Here's some more from Mark Warner. He was on fire. We criticize members of the Senate a lot, and we should. But on occasion, they really show up, and they do a good job of testifying, or questioning. So he's talking now about Operation Midnight Hammer.
And I appreciated Director Gabbard's comments yesterday about agreeing that the president has sole authority, I guess, in his bones to declare whether something is an imminent threat. I didn't agree with your friend, Mr. Kent, but I agreed with him yesterday on the fact that there was no imminent threat. I guess what I'm concerned about, one thing is, even in your printed testimony today on page 6, and your last paragraph on page 6, as a result of Operation Midnight Hammer, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated. There's been no efforts to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. You omitted that paragraph from your oral opening. Was that because the president said there was an imminent threat 2 weeks?
No, sir. I recognize that the time was running long, and I skipped through some of the portions.
So you chose to take.
Okay. Time was running long, so you chose to omit something that would have completely contradicted the entire reason you are there today, to try to say we are justified to use the military because of X, when in your statement previous you said the entire Iranian nuclear program was obliterated. Got it.
Of my oral delivered remarks.
You chose to omit the parts that can contradict the president. The president.
Oh my God, Tulsi. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. That's a stretch. Here we are. I think I played that one for you. Got that one covered. I've got a few more. Here's John Ossoff again. All part of that same infamous visit to Georgia.
Oversee the execution of criminal warrants?
It is my role, based on statute that Congress has passed, to have oversight over election security, to include counterintelligence.
But you said you oversaw the raid, correct? You just testified you oversaw the raid?
Mm-hmm.
Portions of it.
Okay. Did you handle any ballots or elections?
And remember, she said initially that she wasn't there as part of any law enforcement exercise. Well, then she admits that she was there to oversee it. That would be you being involved in law enforcement. Which is it, Tulsi?
Related materials?
No.
You were inside an FBI evidence truck, correct? You were photographed inside an FBI evidence truck.
It was an empty truck, yes.
The president stated, quote, you looked at votes that wanted to be checked out.
The senator's time is expired.
Did you look at votes as the president
Senator
stated?
Ossoff, your time has expired.
You respond
can
for the
have
record?
her. No, she cannot respond.
She wants you to believe that she oversaw the Fulton County election and sat in an evidence truck that was empty. Listen to that again.
Is it your role to oversee the execution of criminal warrants?
It is my role, based on statute that Congress has passed, to have oversight over election security, to include counterintelligence.
But you said you oversaw the raid, correct? You just testified you oversaw the raid?
Portions of it.
Okay. Did you handle any ballots or election-related materials?
No.
You were inside an FBI evidence truck, correct? You were photographed inside an FBI evidence truck.
It was an empty truck, yes.
The president stated, quote, you looked at votes that wanted to be checked out.
The senator's time is expired.
Did you look at votes as the president
Senator
stated?
Ossoff, your time has expired.
You respond
can
for the
have
record?
her. No, she cannot respond.
Oh man. It is so fucking bad. It is so bad. They can't even keep their lies in order. Here's a little bit more from Mark Warner.
One of your statements that you've made multiple times, which is false. I did not participate in a law enforcement activity.
You just said you did.
Or would I? Because that does not exist within my authorities.
You were present on the scene. Are the photos of you on the scene false?
Hang on one second. Just real quick. Hang on one second. Hold on. You heard it. I was there. I oversaw it. I was overseeing some of it. So in her statement, in this response that she made to Mark Warner, she lied.
I want to correct one of your statements that you've made multiple times, which is false. I did not participate in a law enforcement activity.
You did. You just
nor
said you
would
did.
I, because that does not exist within my authorities.
You just said you did.
You were present on the scene. Are the photos of you on the scene false?
I was at Fulton County, sir, at the request of the president, and to work with the FBI to observe this action that had long been awaited. I was not aware of what was in the warrant or was not in the warrant.
And what was the president's specific request for you to go to? What was the specific request that was made by the president for you to show up in Fulton County?
To go and observe the FBI's activities
And to say thank you to the FBI. You could have done that with an email, Tulsi, or a text. Thanks, THX. That was for you, Sam.
issue.
So why?
When you
why,
look at the fort,
do you
your
have the
question,
answer?
sir.
Do you have the answer why the president was knowing
Your
about this
question, sir.
affidavit before it was even served?
I'm not aware that the president knew about an affidavit before it was served.
Then why was he sending you to Fulton County?
This occurred the day that the FBI had it approved, their warrant approved by a local judge, and they began to execute this. I want to correct.
I mean, come on. The lies are getting so bad. You can't have it both ways. You cannot literally tell one senator in one line of questioning that you were not there to oversee law enforcement and then tell someone else that you oversaw some of the investigation. Which is it? I'd like to know, because I can't keep it straight. It's hard to navigate through these fucking lies. It's really difficult. Okay. And again, the lies connected to, well, let's just focus on the Iran war, for example, right? The lies connected to that, the intelligence community, members of Tulsi Gabbard's team, Joe Kent. Listen, no imminent threat. She herself, no imminent threat. She herself said the president is the one who determines if there's an imminent threat. So then that would tell us that, yes, in fact, the president is absolutely fucking compromised because his entire intelligence, the intelligence arm of the federal government is all told him the same thing. All told him the same thing. There's no imminent threat. So what do we then get? We get a war that we shouldn't be in. We get more loss of life based on fucking lies. And what's worse, again, when you listen to the president say this, people will fucking believe it. People will attempt to justify it based on bullshit.
Years they've been bad players, vicious players, and you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. If they got a nuclear weapon, I would say they would have used it within 24 hours after having it. And they would have had it if we didn't bomb them out from that great raid with the B-2 bombers 8 months ago or so. You would have had a nuclear war in the Middle East and maybe beyond. I think it would have hit Europe. Maybe not Ireland, but it would have hit Europe. I think you would have been a nice piece of it. It all gets you. It's big enough that you would have been affected. They would have hit Europe eventually.
Just know. People will just believe it. People will just believe it. So John Ossoff again, he's dreamy. Here we go. Questioning her about a very controversial ad campaign connected the president to using the imagery of this distinguished transfer ceremony. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute because it's so fucking bad. We're gonna dunk on Pete Hegseth in just a moment.
And to this fundraising email signed by the president that Senator Kelly mentioned earlier, in which the president of the United States invites his campaign donors to, quote, claim your spot, join now to receive private national security briefings, to his political donors, featuring a photo of the president.
So just to be very clear, he is selling national security briefings to people. Just let that land for a second. And I have no fucking idea what that means, but he is selling private national security briefings to people. RC, you going to pony up some cash? Head on down to the sit room? Yeah. I'm sure that's totally fine though, right? What about Biden? Biden had ice cream on the beach. Biden gave the ice cream recipe to the Chinese.
And to this fundraising email signed by the president that Senator Kelly mentioned earlier, in which the president of the United States invites his campaign donors to, quote, claim your spot, join now to receive private national security briefings, to his political donors, featuring a photo of the president at a dignified transfer ceremony with a flag-draped coffin of an American service member killed in action returning to their family. And the American people need to know that the President of the United States is fundraising for his political campaign and his PAC using images of American service members killed in action, and it's a disgrace.
Nice. Nice. Don't forget, the Fox News had to apologize because they lied to the American people when the first time that he showed up at a dignified transfer ceremony and he had his fucking hat on. And they had to take that down. Then there was requests again to not photograph it at the dignified transfer ceremony. And he did it again with this salute. And I'm sure they're going to turn into, more grifting. Well, it gets really bad because Pete Hegseth, this is really just disturbing. There's really no other way to describe it. I'm going to read this to you. Hang on a second. I just got to find it. Everybody keep tapping, please. Where is it? Hold on. Pete Hegseth being called out by members of families of soldiers who lost their lives. Father of fallen soldier calls out Hegseth's lies after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth claimed that, quote, family after family of fallen service members urged the administration to finish the job in the Iran war. One grieving dad is speaking out and directly contradicting that narrative. Charles Simmons, whose son, Tech Sergeant Tyler H. Simmons, was killed last week, says that never happened. I didn't say anything along those lines, he told NBC News. Instead, their conversation focused on his son's life, his service, and the peril of the decisions being made, not calls for escalation. Simmons made something else clear, quote, who wants war? While the Trump regime invokes Gold Star families to justify continuing and expanding this war, at least one of those families is now setting the record straight. This is a father navigating unimaginable loss and refusing to have his words twisted for war propaganda. The truth matters, and so does respecting the voices of those who have sacrificed most. So here is a question for Trump supporters, right? Are you going to believe Pete Hegseth when he says that I've talked family after family and they've told me to finish the job? Are you going to believe that from a white Christian nationalist, a domestic violence perpetrator, abuser, serial adulterer, person who struggled with substance abuse and sobriety? Are you going to believe him, MAGA? Or are you going to believe the Gold Star dad? Because the Gold Star dad said that never fucking happened. Which is it? And if you answer that you believe Pete, then I'm going to tell you to fuck all the way off. You don't give a flying fuck about the military. You don't give a fuck about law enforcement. You don't care about law and order. You don't give a shit about any of it. If you even pause for a second to say, well, that was NBC News. If you even pause for a second. And here's the thing. Strap up, get in your fucking car, drive to the house of Charles Simmons, knock on the door and said, I think you're a liar. I dare you, you pathetic little fucks. RC will drive because RC is about as pathetic as they come. Put him, you can all pile in the back like the Christian nationalist ignorant clown car and then go around to Gold Star families who just lost children in battle in a war that we should never have been in. And you can walk up to them and tell them that they're lying. Go ahead, I dare you. Go ahead. Then report back. I guarantee you won't because you're all cowards. And here we sit. Newly minted U.S. coins with the president's face on it. $250 plated in gold. Inflation spiking. Loss of life. Healthcare crisis, the economy in tatters, gas approaching $4 a gallon, diesel prices up $1.50. Yeah, Enzo will certainly drive. No, Enzo will just run along the side of the car because he thinks he's fast. Then he'll fall down, get a boo-boo and cry. This is how far we have fallen, because there are people here who will call that story false because they'll want to believe Pete and the administration. Okay. That's fine. No problem. I want to play this for you because I think this is interesting, because of course there has to be money involved, right, friends? There has to be money involved. I'm going to play this when I started to look, kind of unpack this story. It was pretty disturbing. Well, let me first play this. This is I'll tiptoe my way to it, because don't forget, the president came out recently and said, I contacted other presidents and they all encouraged me. I spoke to previous presidents and they all encouraged me to finish the job in Iran, or whatever the fuck you want to talk about. There's only there's 5 living presidents. There's the current one, there's Obama, there's Clinton, and there's Bush. That's it. Everybody else is dead. There's no more living presidents. So there's only 4. Okay? Obama, Clinton, Biden, Bush. That's it. That's all that's left, with the exception of 45 and 47. So we're going to play a couple of little sound bites and talk about that today. Hold on. So again, this is on the 5 with Jessica Charloff and those fucking goons.
Trump claims he talked to a former president who said that he'd wished he had done what Trump did. Do you have any insight into who he could have talked to?
Evidence would suggest, since all of the living former presidents released statements or told news outlets that it wasn't them, that 45 was talking to 47 about how well he was doing. Nailed it.
It's true. We laughed because it's fucking true. There's a little bit more on that. Hang on. This is hilarious. So Caitlin Collins pressuring a Trump cuck about these potential conversations that the president had with other presidents.
Something the president said not once but twice today about a conversation he had with a former U.S. president. Obviously, there's only a handful that are living. That he says praise.
I think it's Paul's former boss.
In Iran. Well, let's listen to what the president says. How he described that conversation.
You said twice today that you talked to another former president about the Iran strikes. Was it George W. Bush?
No.
Was it Bill Clinton?
I don't want to say. But that person said, I wish I did it. Okay, but I don't want to get into who. Okay. I don't want to get him into trouble. Maybe, hey, you know what? Yeah, I think you probably know.
Immediately after that, we were all texting people in the worlds of Bill Clinton and everyone else, but it seemed to be Bill Clinton who said there have not been any conversations recently between Trump and Clinton. I mean, Paul, first off, do you know of any? And 2, what did you make of that?
I haven't been in touch with former President Clinton, so I don't know. But his office has said that happened. No, his office has said it didn't happen. And Donald Trump, President Trump, has a rich fantasy life, and we wish him well. But I wish he would call his predecessors, any of them, either party. This is a guy, while J.D. Vance is trying to have it both ways, and Urban's wrong, as usual, he can't have it both ways. Donald Trump has attacked 7 countries already. 7. Here they are in alphabetical order: Iran, Iraq, Somalia, Syria, Nigeria, Venezuela, and Yemen. 7 countries. One of his predecessors is going to say to him, Donald, don't do any of that unless it's the absolute last option. Any good president knows you don't go to war the way Bush did on a lie, and you don't go to war unless it's the very last resort. And it's not in any of those 7 cases.
Paul Begala,
apparently, Paul's former boss said a good job, so I'm all for it.
But I mean, Clinton's people say that they have not spoken.
And they joke about it.
Right. I mean, David, they say that they haven't spoken.
Yeah, I think the makeup has kind of affected his brains or something. I don't know. Trump is making.
Begala didn't deny it, Caitlin. Begala didn't deny it.
No, I just haven't talked to President Clinton in several weeks.
Yeah, he didn't talk to him.
Clinton's people say that they didn't. So do Obama's and Bush's and Biden's. Paul Begala, David Urban. Nice to have this conversation with the 2 of you.
I am not actually. I see Jen. I want to bring her up real quick. Just because I have a question. I think this is confabulation, was what we're seeing. Is that why you wanted a request?
Good morning from Kansas.
Yes. And I'm not diagnosing or anything like that. I just want to make that very clear. But confabulation is actually a sign of neurological deterioration and decline. And I'll give you a personal anecdotal example.
Okay.
My father had glioblastoma, which is terminal brain cancer. And before we had him diagnosed, he was telling people, and my dad was, let me just say, he was an incredible cardiothoracic surgeon. He was telling people that he was knighted by the Queen.
Okay.
And he clearly was not. Okay. But in his brain being so damaged from the tumor that he was saying things, and then in order to make it seem correct in his brain, he would say these things that were clearly untrue and clearly like just wrong. And that is called confabulation.
And they talk about that as being a symptom of mental decline, and you're trying to fill. You're basically filling space. You have this theory of something that you perhaps wanted to talk to a former president, or maybe that you should have talked to a former president, or to try to justify your lies. Right?
That's correct. Yes, that's what confabulation is.
Lovely. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
See ya. Bye. Yeah. So here we sit. President just flat out fucking lying, and people will try to defend it. I wanted to play this because shocker, this comes back to money, right? There's an entire syndicate of people that are literally in the process of enriching themselves on the back of this particular war, including, you'd be surprised to learn, people connected to this administration. What do you know? So this creator, this is Perfect Union podcast. I really like their work. So here you go.
People in the Trump administration that might stand to financially benefit from the war in Iran. This is Stephen Feinberg, the Deputy Secretary of Defense. He's a billionaire and the former CEO of Kerberos Capital Management. He divested his stake, but gave it to his adult children in an irrevocable trust, which is a legal but ethically questionable move. He's overseeing the $151 billion Golden Dome project. This is a planetary missile defense system, and they've already granted awards for 4 of the firms that Kerberos either owns or is a majority investor in. This is Mark Berkowitz, the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Space Policy. He lives in the revolving door. He served in Clinton's Defense Department, then as a Vice President of Strategy at Lockheed Martin for about 20 years.
Not Lockheed Martin, no.
It has received $740 billion of defense contracts since 2008. He still owns about $5 million in stock.
$740 billion since 2008. We're approaching $1 trillion. Part of the military-industrial complex, and we have people in the administration that are connected to it. That's not shady at all.
This is Benjamin Coleman, a McKinsey consultant who became the COO at Qubit Capital, a defense-focused investment firm, because those exist. In 2023, he was the CEO at Farcast, which is a telecommunications company that Lockheed Martin invested $2 million in. This is Kirsten Davies, Chief Information Officer for the DoD, a longtime private sector consultant, having advised the defense contractor Talon Cybersecurity, and a board member of Clarity, an Israeli cybersecurity firm connected to the IDF. Mark Anderson came to the Department of Defense after a 22-year stint at Ernst & Young, a massive accounting firm that has won $2.28 billion in Defense Department contracts.
Wow.
He was also a partner at a venture capital firm called Iron Gate Group, which has invested in firms with millions of dollars in active government contracts. Anthony Tata is a longtime consultant that is now at the DoD. Since 2023, he has worked with a number of DoD contractors. Eldridge Colby is an interesting one, whose grandfather was the director of the CIA. He's worked as a consultant for Telemus Group, which has been awarded at least $20 million in defense contracts, but he advised in wargaming and defense forecasting. We can keep going. Here's Joseph Jewell, hypersonics consultant for Toyon Research. Toyon has won nearly...
I'm not sure of the creator's name herself, but she's part of the More Perfect Union podcast.
$471 million in defense contracts. And just by comparison, the people fighting the wars, active military recruits in the United States, 62% come from families that are below median income in the United States. So I don't know, I kind of feel like these guys have different priorities than maybe you or I do when it comes to deciding to take military action.
Any thoughts? Anyone? Any thoughts? Thank you, Sinjay Raiders. Hearts in the chat for Sinjay Raiders, please. So again, MAGA. Are you willing to look at any of this? Hello, Biden and ice cream, and Obama had a tan suit. And what about Hunter's cock? How come you never talk about Hunter's cock? You've got billionaires who their hands are all over the military-industrial complex before, currently, and likely after. And they are enriching themselves to the tune of millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And they're in the cabinet, or they're directly connected to the cabinet, or they are in prominent positions within government to be able to take advantage. Some of them are ethical, some of them are not. I mean, our president hasn't divested. He was supposed to put things in an irrevocable trust, and he didn't. He put it in a family-run trust. But again, nothing to see here, right? Nothing to see here? You guys are fine with that? What about Hillary's emails of Hunter's cock? See? You don't care. If you cared about fraud, we could have that conversation. If you cared about actual fraud in government, you wouldn't be paying attention to this Nick Shirley fucking bullshit. And thanks to Monica, I think I saw you in here early, Monty. She did a great breakdown of his latest escapades, you know, walking around parking lots in California or Vegas or wherever the fuck it was. So, Monica, if you're in here, thanks for doing that work. But like, what are we fucking doing? I mean, these people are, they're making money off of death, the fucking war machine. Generals gathered in black masses, right? Generals, I had to sing it. But you get my point. Here we sit. And here we sit. And there's just more of them. It's like a feeding frenzy of all the, I mean, again, it's always about follow the money, friends, right? We know that. That's nothing new. None of you are surprised by that. We talk about it all the time. But when you hear it like that, the people that are connected, right? The people that are connected to it, I don't know. It's so fucking disturbing. That's nothing though, because, well, I shouldn't say it's nothing, but I just want to remind folks of a few things. You're going to hear now Tony Hudson. That would be Tony, spelled Hutson. Tony Hudson is a preacher. He's a pastor, and he recently gave ministry at the Golden State Baptist Church. And trigger warnings. This is what he had to say in front of the congregation.
It was on them. They caved in like a bunch of women would. Now I want to preach for about 4 or 5 hours on quit acting like a woman and acting like a woman. There's some things that just automatically, I mean, you know, women. You look at a woman and you offend her. He offended me. These women, they'll say things behind your back they won't say to your face. They get mad when you call out names in the pulpit. They get nervous about that. That's how these preachers are. But they'll talk about you behind their back. And women's, their whole mentality changes when they get with another crowd. If they get around a crowd that thinks different, they start thinking about the crowd they're around. They became, and my text tonight, sir, hi, and they became as women. Start acting like a bunch of women. I mean, they always got a sugar daddy somewhere, you know. Who are you trying to impress with your little selfie and your little side pose and your AI? Hey, that's acting like a bunch of women act. Working out all the time. And then they want to try to make it spiritual because you want to lengthen your days of ministry. Every preacher I ever really got ministered to and had a belly on him. Women, they get embarrassing me. Women get up and 3 of them go to the bathroom together. I'm seeing preachers. Do you need to go? Are you going? I don't know. Hey, quit acting like a woman. Women like to be seen and they like to be liked. Why didn't they ask me to preach? Why didn't I get on the poster? They have a strong desire to be like others. I just ain't comfortable hugging up on other men taking selfies. That's a woman thing to me. I can't get enough help. Some of y'all really need this message. They become, as women, they're eat up with technology. You can do what you want to. I ain't bringing no iPad up here to preach with. I tell you what, it discredits the Word of God to do that. They like that technology, the latest. Got the new iPhone this and the iPhone that. Hey, man, I got about 160 more here. My sermons are like a fat woman calling through a barbed wire fence. A few more points and I'll be through. Stay with me just a minute.
March 4th of this year, Tony Hudson, who you just heard, preached this sermon. Quit acting like a woman, he said, at the National Pastors and Workers Conference at North Valley Baptist Church. This is an independent fundamentalist Baptist church, hyper-fundamentalist, not to be confused with mainstream Baptist. NVBC is known for its ministry, Golden State Baptist College, which claims to train young adults for full-time Christian service. And yet this is the kind of preaching tolerated, even cheered behind their pulpit. Rather than expositing a passage of Scripture, Tony Hudson read two verses. Focused on four words and took these phrases entirely out of context. He then imagined how women act and think and listed off inaccurate and or demeaning overgeneralizations about women. Tony Hudson attempted to apply his assumptions about women to men in order to invent new ways for men to quit acting like a woman. These included don't exercise, don't take selfies alone, don't take selfies with other men, don't use AI to create a photo of yourself, don't have the newest iPhone, don't use any iPad to preach, and many, many more. Instead of preaching God's word, Tony Hudson used out-of-context Bible verses as a prop to further his own agenda. What was supposed to be a sermon devolved into ranting. This isn't just watered-down preaching. It's not a sermon at all. The gospel was not proclaimed. God's word was not preached. Christ was not glorified. This is compromise. And tragically, this is common in hyper-fundamentalism. And yes, there were women in the congregation watching that shit. People like Doug Wilson, who is a self-professed Christian nationalist, who has similar views about women, doesn't think women should vote, that the household should vote, that women are subservient to men. That guy is Pete Hegseth, spiritual advisor. Queens, are you angry? Remember, I'll tell you this every single week. This administration and people like him are so fucking terrified of you. Give them reason to be. Give them a reason to be absolutely terrified of you. I mentioned Pete Hegseth because there's a bit of an interesting biographical history on Pete that I'm going to read to you now, because he is who he's been for a very, very long time. Recently, Hegseth quoted, "The war in Iran is protected by God," to which Pope Leo responded, "Do not involve the name of God in choices of death. God cannot be enlisted into darkness." Okay. Well, this was compiled by Reuters. Pete Hegseth, public urinating alcoholic sexual predator, wife cheating non-profit bankrupting racist white Christian nationalist. How a man who endorsed grape and whose own mother called him an abuser of women became a dangerously powerful idiot starting World War III. Pete Hegseth was born on June 6, 1980. In Minneapolis. He grew up in the Forest Lake, a suburb north of the city. His father coached high school basketball. His mother became an executive business coach who taught in a Republican Women's Leadership Fellowship. This is where the story starts. Not in hardship, not in chaos, in a suburb with a stable family and a choice. At Princeton, Hegseth ran the campus conservative newspaper, the Princeton Tory. In September 2022, the Tory published an unsigned column arguing that having sex with an unconscious woman was not grape, on the grounds that she could not experience duress while unconscious. Hegseth was publisher. He ran it. 2002. Again, in 2002, the Tory published an unsigned column arguing that having sex with an unconscious woman was not grape, on the grounds that she could not experience duress while unconscious. Hegseth was the publisher. He ran it. A Reuters investigation spoke to more than a dozen former students, faculty, and staff at Princeton. One recalled Hegseth physically tearing down feminist organization posters on campus and replacing them with his own, leading to a confrontation. At a subsequent meeting where the feminist group tried to reconcile, Hegseth showed up in his ROTC uniform, a choice one classmate described as appearing to deliberately intimidate. After Princeton, Hegseth was commissioned as a second lieutenant through the ROTC program. Within weeks, his National Guard unit was activated. He had 1 month to prepare before deploying to the infamous torture prison at Guantanamo Bay. At Guantanamo, he served as a security platoon leader, guarding detainees for 11 months, most of whom were innocent. After Iraq, Hegseth joined Vets for Freedom, a nonprofit that advocated for expanding the war. He became its president in 2007. In 2008, the organization raised $8.7 million and spent more than $9 million. By January of 2009, Hegseth told donors the group had less than $1,000 in the bank and was more than $430,000 in debt. Hegseth took responsibility for their financial mismanagement and acknowledged the group would need to file for bankruptcy. Hegseth moved to Concerned Veterans for America, a Koch brothers funded advocacy group, and became its president in 2012. Under Hegseth, the CVA hired his younger brother Philip straight out of college and paid him more than $125,000 over 3 years, according to tax records. A 7-page whistleblower report compiled by former employees described Hegseth as repeatedly intoxicated at work, sexually pursuing female staffers, and creating a hostile workplace. The report alleged that a Louisiana strip club where he had brought his team, Hegseth had to be physically restrained from joining the dancers on stage due to his apparent intoxication. A separate complaint alleged that at a bar in Ohio, while on the organization's Defend Freedom tour, Hegseth and a colleague closed down the hotel bar and yelled, "Unalive all Muslims," multiple times. Another account alleged that Hegseth passed out in the back of a party bus and then urinated in front of the hotel where his team was staying. He, of course, denied all of it. By 2016, he was out as its leader. In October of 2017, a woman alleged that Hegseth sexually assaulted her at the Hyatt Regency in Monterey, California, where he was scheduled to speak at the California Federation of Republican Women Convention. According to reporting, Hegseth was intoxicated at the hotel bar and had to be escorted to his room by the woman, who later said that she was assaulted. No charges were filed. Hegseth's attorney told CBS News that he settled with his accuser to avoid being fired by Fox News over the allegation. Hegseth said the encounter was consensual. In 2004, Hegseth married Meredith Schwartz. They had been voted most likely to marry by their high school class. Meredith filed for divorce in December of 2008 after Hegseth admitted to five separate affairs. He'd been dating Samantha Deering, whom he met at Vets for Freedom. He married Deering in 2010. They divorced in 2017. While going through his second divorce, Hegseth had already had a child with Jennifer Roche, a producer at Fox News. He married Roche in 2019 at Trump National Golf Club, with the Trump family in attendance. At the confirmation hearing, his own mother's email entered the record. In a 2018 email, Penelope Hegseth wrote that her son was, quote, an abuser of women who, quote, belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. Hegseth joined Fox News as a contributor in 2014. By 2017, he was co-hosting Fox and Friends Weekend. For a decade, he had a national platform to build his disturbing worldview into a brand. Quote, we should not have women in combat roles. Quote, women cannot physically meet the same standards as men. Quote, moms put the training wheels on our bikes. We need moms, but not in the military. In his book, The War on Warriors, he complained about ads promoting diversity in the military to the T-slur and lesbians, arguing they were pushing away young, patriotic Christian men who have traditionally filled our service ranks. Hegseth's body is a documented record of his worldview. The Jerusalem cross on his chest, the word kafir, Arabic for unbeliever, used as a slur on his arm, a Chiro Christogram, a cross and a sword with Hebrew lettering for Yeshua, we the people, on his forearm. At least 2 of his tattoos depict symbols associated with white Christian nationalism. Experts note that the Deus Vult flags flew at the 2017 Charlottesville rally, and the 2023 Allen, Texas mass shooter had the same tattoo alongside a neo-Nazi imagery. After the start of the U.S. war against Iran, military commanders began telling service members and the conflict was part of God's divine plan and that Trump had been anointed by Jesus. One commander quoted the book of Revelation. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation received more than 200 complaints from 50 military installations. This is a quote from Plato. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. When good people don't show up, bad people fill in. Now, again, this is not an isolated incident with this guy. He was the publisher of his paper in college and published a story that said, grape is not grape if the woman is passed out, because she could never say that she was in duress. Elections have consequences. It's not just about the president. It's not just about Congress. It's about the Supreme Court. It's about cabinet positions. So again, I ask you, if you are on the left or if you are a non-voter and you have any decency at all towards marginalized groups and women in particular in this case, then you need to show up in November, overwhelmingly so, and vote for Democrats so that motherfucker, that dangerous, absolute fucking Nazi, because that's what he is, gets removed from office and then indicted and charged for war crimes. Yes, I'll say it. That's who he is. That is who is in this administration. That's who the president surrounds himself with. Are you angry? You should be. Okay. All right. Okay. I just, again, Throw Punch Thursday, Jess. Next Thursday, it's going to be Pete Hegseth. I read through that. I'll post this in the chat, guys. It's a compilation of a story from HR News, and you guys can read it if you want to. But it's one of these things that it doesn't surprise me anymore, right? It doesn't surprise me at all. Eric, instead of just chirping in the chat, why don't you request and have a conversation? Or are you too afraid? But when you hear about his history, you're like, what the fuck? Good morning, Fred. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's on your mind?
Well, I guess I'm at a point thinking about No Kings coming up, thinking about No Kings protests in the future, thinking about the midterms. I see obviously it feels like a very matter-of-fact point in my mind anyway to say, like, yes, we need to vote in the midterms and provide as many opportunities as possible to impeach people, etc. My thing though is, should there, like, when it comes to MAGA, is there a point at which we just kind of leave them behind and move on to the bigger kinds of issues? Yeah, like what's most on my mind is someone like Peter Thiel and Palantir, and right, like AI and militaristic AI's role and all of society globally moving forward. And I love the idea of prosecuting Pete Kegsbreath and whatnot, but I also love the idea of there being, like a clearer trajectory for all people of going after these tech billionaires in a in a way that we haven't yet, if that
Agreed.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Epstein. I totally agree. It's the Epstein class. I totally agree with you. Yep.
Yeah.
Which again to your point. I mean, multiple things can happen at the same time. You can impeach and remove and prosecute cabinet members, and you can go after these corrupt corporate capitalists who are literally running our country. So yes,
Exactly.
another argument to vote.
100%. And I mean, I'm not saying I would do this, but just hypothetically, I mean, I'm curious why we're not just like protesting in places that would be more disruptive to their lives. Just in, that's all.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what that
I get
looks
it.
like.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, this was the conversation that happened earlier. Like some people may not be able to participate in a general strike. They may not be able to take a few days off from work to try to make their case because as I've discussed quite a few times over the last couple of weeks, there's 900 or so billionaires in our country with a combined wealth totaling $8.2 trillion. They have enriched themselves by nearly $1.5 trillion in the last year and a half. So they have all the power. They have all the power. So the only way you can push back is to go after their money because that's what they care about. It's obvious.
Exactly.
That's going to take a commitment. That's going to take people realizing it's not going to happen overnight. You got to get legislation to get money out of politics. You got to start with Citizens United. You got to ban lobbying. You got to pack the court. All these kinds of things. It's a long game. We got to be willing to play it.
Such a long game. And I hope that everyone is getting good rest out there, yourself included. I really look forward to seeing what happens when your tour takes off. And, I tell people about it all the time. Yeah. Like even in my private practice, I'm like, do something. Be Steve. Be a Steve today. Don't wallow. Yeah. It really, it's a huge inspiration for someone like me who perpetually tends to freeze. So, thank you for that. But I'll let you go. I don't want to take up too much time. Yeah.
Thank you, friend. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate you. Have a good weekend. Be safe out there. I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Thanks, Jess. Yeah, I mean, friends, listen, we can't, I say this a lot. We can't fix this tomorrow. And this analogy that popped into my head when I think about this, about how Trump grabbed like a fine piece of china off the wall. Like that china is our democracy. He grabbed it off the wall and threw it on the floor and it broke into 1 million pieces in an instant, right? Like in an instant. And I think our frustration is that we want to fix it as fast as they broke it. And that's impossible. First of all, you got to find all the pieces. You got to organize all the pieces. You got to put all the pieces together slowly, cautiously. You got to fix them. And then eventually, if you're committed to it, if you're patient, if you're willing to hang on to it, then yes, you can replace the plate. In fact, you can even make the plate better than ever. That's the challenge for us, right? That's the challenge for us. You have to ask yourself, are you in or are you out? I can't help you unless you're involved. I'll encourage you, I'll motivate you, hopefully I'll challenge you, but you got to be willing you got to be in this fight for the long term. Like I am in it for generations of people not even born yet. I'm in it for an immigrant family who hasn't even thought about traveling across the Mexican desert to enter America. I'm in it for marginalized communities in the future I don't even know. That's what Do Something is all about, at least to me. It's not about today. It's not even about tomorrow. It's about next week, next month, next year, next decade, next century. So that's the push. If you want to support our cause, at Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you very much. Good morning, Ren. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on what the last caller just said, or the last person just said, about go and interrupt them where they are in their daily lives. I regularly, every Sunday, 10:30 to 12:30, go to Pete Hegseth's Christian Nationalist Church on Pennsylvania Avenue. And there's about 10 of us that go out there. And there's usually some people in your chat that are actually in my live when I do that as well. But I just wanted to invite anybody who's in the DC area to come and join us, because it would really bother him a whole lot if that crowd grew. And it is every Sunday, 10:30 approximately is when he gets there. He usually gets there between 10 and 10:30. And I usually stay till like 12:30. But yeah, it really does bother him. There is way too much police presence. This past week, he brought what people said were Pentagon police or something. I don't know. They're fully armed. Like, they look like they should be on a freaking battlefield. So yeah, anyways, if anybody wants to join us in person or join me in my live, it's a great time.
Well, I'm going to be in DC as part of my tour. So I'd like to meet up with you there, and I'll make sure that I'm there on a Sunday to be able to attend that particular service. And I'm going to sit right behind Pete, or as close to him as I can. And I might even be petty. I might make spitballs and get a straw and like blow them in his hair. Something to that effect to get his attention.
So funny story. We started the protest on the sidewalk, right? If you check out my page, if you look at my page, you'll see the videos and how far they have pushed us back. We are now on the opposite side of Pennsylvania Avenue, and they tape off with police tape line or whatever. They tape that off every Sunday morning. They take it down after church is done. But we can't even go on the median. We were told last week that we would be arrested if we were on the median of Pennsylvania Avenue. Yeah. So yeah, if again, anybody who is in DC, please come out on Sunday morning. I know it's early. I mean, it's not that early, but like, we need for the entire sidewalk to be packed with people screaming at him. Because that would really disrupt his Sunday, and it really bothers him. He gets so annoyed every Sunday. It's so great. So anyways, that's all. I just wanted to let you know that. Feel free to message me whenever you're in DC, but again, it's every Sunday, 10:30 to 12:30 approximately.
Thank you, Ren, for doing the work. I appreciate you, friends. That's an example of doing something. Thank you for sharing that story with us, Ren. I appreciate that. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
You too. Bye.
That's awesome. I'm totally going to do that. That's going to be on I'm going to add it to the list. How much good trouble can your boy get in? Because it's going to happen. So, we're going to have to do a separate, the night that Facts spent in jail. Yeah. Content for days. Let's go. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good today. I'm good. I feel a little like I'm catching a cold, but I'm going to go get myself some Zicam, so we'll clear it up real quick.
Good move. Good move.
I wanted to check on you and see how you were doing. You seemed really heavy yesterday, and I could see it in your face, and I just wanted to check on you.
That's incredibly kind of you for saying that. Yeah, yesterday was a rough day. It's like we never go into. Oftentimes, if I know there's going to be a heavy topic, I prepare myself mentally for it. I don't think I was prepared for it yesterday, and I want to give lots of credit to people like you and to my amazing mods for always having my back, because they saw it too, and they're like, if you need to tap out, you tap out, and I tapped out. So yes.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, like, I'm sorry if I said anything that made it worse for you. I wasn't trying.
You didn't.
Okay. No. And also, Steve, I sent you a message on Instagram. Okay. I'm gonna send you another one. It has I'll include my number in there. If you ever need anyone to talk to, as a fellow empath myself, I understand like how heavy things are, and I just want you to know I'm always here. You are a great listener, but if you ever need someone to talk to, you can always call me too. Like, I'll always be there for you. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, Heather. That's very kind of you. Okay. I really appreciate that. That's very kind, and thanks for checking on me. That's what we do around here. You're very kind. You've always been very supportive of what we do here. So thank you very much. So you can take your flowers too. Notice how I pivoted away from it being about me, and we can talk about you now. So take your flowers too.
I can't do that. I don't know how.
We can help each other. But thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate you for being here. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate you too. Oh, also, how's your back?
Yes.
Your back?
Better.
Okay.
Used to it. I'm falling apart, but better. Yeah, it's just got to. That's why I'm kind of fidgety a little bit, because I just got to keep it moving. But thanks for asking about that as well. I appreciate you very much. You're incredibly kind.
I appreciate you too, Steve. Have a good one.
You too. Take care. That's very sweet. Got a super chat from Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for the $20 in super chat on YouTube. Thanks for being you. Well, that's very kind. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Yeah, yesterday was rough. Yesterday was a rough day, no doubt about it. But like I said, if it's going to be a heavy topic, not that it's not heavy these days, but especially if it's going to get into survivor stories, when we're talking about just horrible abuse of women and children and all kinds of things, and women not being believed, that shit just hits me. So normally if I'm going into the conversation, I can kind of prepare myself for it. I just wasn't prepared for it yesterday. But that's not on you guys. I will never stop having these conversations. I will never stop holding space for people who want to have them. I just can't do it all the time, and I just got to make sure that I'm prepared for it mentally. And again, I want to thank my mods for really being like, "You all right there? You all right there, champ?" And I was not. So I was not okay. So I took my own advice that I give to others and just took a step away. So there you go. All right. I think I've got, if anybody else is in the box, yeah, they're out. I think I have one more thing I wanted to cover with you guys, if I can find it here. No, I'm not going to even bother with that. Let's see. Do I want to play Pete? No, I don't really want to play Pete. We'll stop there. Yeah, you guys saw it. I needed the woosah. I did need the woosah yesterday. So thank you, Jess. Appreciate you. Let's stop there, friends. All right, so a couple of events going on tonight. I know Ashley said she's going to be doing her live. I know Olive and Manny are going to be doing a live as well. I think they're competing to different topics. One, safe space for survivors to tell their story or potential red flags. Similarly, simultaneously, Olive and Manny will be doing a live connected regarding immigration. Those are both tonight at 7 o'clock. I know we promised that we would raid Smitty, SoCal Smitty. If you don't know, a friend of the show. I'm always honored when I get to go and share space with him. In case you guys don't know, I'm attracted to brains. I am a sapiosexual. There's no doubt about it. If you are a smart person, then I'm hooked. You had me at hello. I love to listen to people who are smart. I love to engage with people who are smart. I love to challenge people who are smart, and I like to be challenged by people who are smart, because that's how we learn. I love that fucking shit. Thank you all for being here for a great week of shows. We'll be back Monday morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. No Facts After Dark tonight, but you guys have got instructions or opportunities. So in the meantime, please go raid SoCal Smitty. He's live. We love him. Mods, you guys are the best. Fantastic.